Hey, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, y'all? It's me coming back at you again with another live stream vid. I'm gonna go ahead and make this very, very short live stream. I'll probably keep it under an hour the best way I can, but I'm not going to exceed no further than that. Just wanted to catch up on a few things here with a lot of listed topics. I promise I'll get through them as pretty as quick as I can. And one of the topics I want to talk about is more non-boxing related, and that's the Draymond Green controversy, which is spreading like wildfire, other words, viral. And the video supposedly, I'll talk about that as far as him and his altercation with his physical altercation with Jordan Poole, whatnot. And I'll talk about that while I go through the list of topics and what's going on in the state of boxing right now. So, um, first things first, I want to talk about the whole matchroom, the matchroom crisis right now with Eddie Hearn and so forth. YG, what's happened? Salute, brother. Salute, salute, salute. I want to talk about that. Then I'm going to go down a whole list of topics, man, because there's a lot to cover here, to unpack, as you want to call it. So I'm going to start with the Anthony Joshua or Tyson Fury pull out, or other words, Anthony Joshua pulls out of the Tyson Fury fight. Now, what happened? Did Hearn kill that fight? Now, let's make this clear here. I'm not a fan of Tyson Fury. I don't like his antics. I don't like him. I don't like him being the walking hypocrite that he is. But he is a hell of a fighter. But sometimes that has to come into question because of this whole controversy with Conor BENN and how Tyson Fury could be correlated to this. And I'll explain later in this live stream. But the fact is that Anthony Joshua pulled out of the Tyson Fury fight. Is it a duck? Yes, it is. Hate to say it. Absolutely. Now, I'll make this another clear point. Anthony Joshua is not scared of Tyson Fury. I'm not implying that. What I'm saying is that he did pull out of the fight, but Eddie Hearn was the one that killed it. Why did Eddie Hearn kill it? Because he himself said that he didn't want this fight. He said it recently when the fight was called off, because the fact that he was stalling for time, for pretty much not for time, but he was stalling so that for the time to expire, where he realized that Queensberry was no longer going to wait on Hearn and Joshua to get back to them on as far as signing the agreement for the fight is concerned. So, in which, by the way, Eddie Hearn was being a hypocrite in that situation because he was coming up with every excuse in the book to stall for more time for that fight. First, he said that, okay, once they received the first draft of the contract, he initially said that everyone's okay with it, everything looks good, we're ready to sign. And then a couple of days later, he says that, well, the formatting's incorrect. We sent that back over to Queensberry to revise and correct. Queensberry did revise and correct the format that they requested, and then Eddie Hearn comes back and says, "Well, it's all over the place." Okay, and because of that, Tyson Fury puts out a video, says, "Okay, you know what? If you guys gonna keep dicking me around like this, no homo, pause. If you guys gotta keep jerking me around like this, then I'm not going to I'm gonna go ahead and call this fight off," which he did. And then some of the uploaders went out and made videos accusing Tyson Fury of ducking the fight. Okay, cool. But then Frank Warren and George Warren, along with the Queensberry management, went to Tyson and told him, "Look, you need to give us more time. Give us a couple more days, or 73 more days, and we could get this resolved," which Tyson Fury did oblige to. So when he obliged to that, what happened after that? Eddie Hearn gets gets all the other particulars that he needed sorted out. He cited the TV deal was an issue. That got sorted out in a matter of 48 hours. The Zone gets the international rights. BT handles more of the domestic front. That was the deal. Well, actually, it was going to be a joint. It was going to be a joint pay-per-view. For I was been told. Never mind. So they had a joint broadcasting agreement, and then Hearn comes back and says, "Well, we need another 4 or 5 weeks to sort out the commercial values of Anthony Joshua's contract." And that right there, what pretty much killed the fight. That sealed his fate because Hearn was dragging his feet. He needed to stall as much as he can to get this fight killed off. That's exactly what he did, and he admitted that he didn't want this fight. And who's to blame him? I'm going to give him some benefit of the doubt that it's not wise to put Anthony Joshua in there against a guy like Tyson Fury, especially coming off back-to-back losses against Alexander Usyk, which was mentally draining, physically draining as well. And the fact that he had a mental breakdown, his confidence is shot right at this point, and he's lost 3 of his last 5 fights. So it's not wise to put him in there against a guy like Fury, who knows who could get to him mentally, who might beat him down. We know that at this point. So you want to take him away from world level right now, get him some confidence building fights, at least 2 or 3 fights, and then you could put him in there against a guy like Fury. Smart thing to do. But the one thing I would advise is that don't not call anybody's bluff. You have no intention to sign the contract to fight him. Don't do that, Anthony Joshua. Don't do that, bruh. I mean, I praised you many, many times for calling his bluff because I thought Fury was the one who wasn't going to bite, but it turns out it was Joshua who didn't bite. If you know what I mean, if that makes any sense. He didn't bite. So he pulls out of the fight. Again, obviously at the direction of Eddie Hearn. And I can see why they did it. I'll give them some little bit of benefit of doubt there. But again, do not call anybody's bluff with no intention to signing the contract to fight that person. That's all I got to say about that. So it is what it is. Anthony Joshua ducks out of the Tyson Fury fight. You could say, the fanboys are not going to be happy for me saying that, but that's the truth. That's what it is. That's what happened. Yeah, what's up, Molly? Exactly. We all know that Eddie Hearn pulled out of that fight because he knows AJ's not going to win it. He needs to get him some wins to rebuild his commercial value, which, again, is a smart thing to do. But don't just call anybody's bluff and waste anybody's time and by dragging this thing along. Now, the first time around, yeah, we all know that was on Tyson Fury and Top Rank with the whole Wilder situation. We all know that. But at the same time, don't don't call this guy's bluff and no intention to sign the contract. I hate repeating myself, but it is what it is. So, yeah, that's it. Move on from that. And now that was the first disaster that happened with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom after the Joshua Usyk saga concluded. Now we move on to this one, which has really, really been a black cloud for the UK boxing scene. All right, the Conor BENN fallout. Yes, this has been a talk of the town for the last few days or so, going back to last Thursday. All right. But it seems like it's been an eternity given the fact that everybody's talking about this for the last 4 or 5 days. So here's the thing. The Conor BENN fallout. Where do I begin? So on Thursday, I believe, it was reported by who was the author of the article? By the Daily Mail. The Daily Mail reported, and if anyone doesn't know who the Daily Mail is, it's a UK publication. They've reported that Conor BENN had failed a VADA drug test, a PED test. And the substance that was found in his system, which they all allege it's adverse findings, it was an adverse finding, as you want to call it, is called clomiphene, I believe. Clomiphene. Yeah, clomiphene. Now, clomiphene is a reproduction drug for women who has a tough time of conceiving a child, whatnot. So it's an infertility drug, or fertility drug, I should say. It treats infertility, but later over the years, it has been upgraded where it can be treated for fertility issues for men, for them to produce more sperm, whatnot, to help the woman conceive a child. But needless to say, though, clomiphene is also used to produce higher testosterone levels at an artificial capacity, which a lot of bodybuilders use after they are cycling off, PEDs such as Dianabol or HGH, or in this case, anabolic steroids. But what people don't know is that clomiphene is also used to mask other PED drugs in your system as well. So the question is that why was Conor BENN using this drug, knowing this is a fertility drug that can be used to also increase your testosterone levels at a pretty high rate, which also help build muscle a lot faster, and you can recover quickly too, and it can be used for as a masking agent, I should say. So, needless to say, though, it's an adverse finding. He got caught, okay? But the troubling thing about this is that it was a VADA who caught him, not UCAD. So what Eddie Hearn tried to do is try to use a legal loophole to get the British Board of Boxing Control, which, by the way, did not refuse to sanction the fight after the story came out, okay? They decided to pull the plug and not sanction the fight after the story came out. Then Eddie Hearn tried to use a legal loophole by enforcing an injunction to get the board to reconsider their decision and sanction the fight. Okay. And the reason being is because he's claiming that UCAD, or I'm sorry, the British Board of Boxing Control does not honor VADA testing results, whatnot, which is kind of weird because if that's the case, Eddie, then why did you pay so much money to get VADA drug testing involved? And I think the reason why he did that because he was hoping something was going to come out of the Chris Eubank Jr. situation because, you know, in him, you know, you can having him coming down to 157, the way he hasn't fought in many, many years, and he's got to rehydrate to what, certain like less than about 5 pounds, like the day after, or like the day of the weight or something, the day after, I mean, hours after the weigh-in, I believe, and then he can't rehydrate no more than maybe 8 pounds in total. It's just a weird rehydration clause situation. Whereas I think again, the reason why he got VOD and all because he was worried about what Chris Eubank would be using to cut the weight. That's what he was hoping for. Because look, if Chris Eubank Jr. would have been caught with some banned substances, what do you think Eddie Hearn would have reacted to it? What if Vada caught him? Oh yeah, we're going to cancel the fight. We're going to penalize you, okay? But yeah, when his fighters get caught, oh, we can't honor the test results, so we're going to honor UCAD because UCAD didn't catch him. So we're going to force an injunction with the BBOC for them to let this fight go ahead, which is a disastrous PR move for Eddie Hearn. And this is not the first time, and it's not surprising because this situation models the Dillian White situation. And the reason why I say that is because we didn't find out about this until the story got leaked. Why did it get leaked? I don't know, but all I could tell you is that Conor BENN, I'm hearing two conflicting reports of when he tested positive. But one report says that he tested positive back in late August or early September. So whatever the case may be, that was about 5-6 weeks ago. And all the parties involved knew about it. The British Board of Boxing Control knew about it. The UCAT knew about it. And of course, the Eubank side knew about it. They all knew about it. But yet they still wanted to push this fight forward. And let's be honest, if that story did come out on yesterday, we would have had a fight yesterday. We would be talking about that and how that played out. So my question is, who leaked that story? I'm only speculating. I'm not saying it's definite, so don't sue me, anyone. Could have been Chris Eubank Sr. Maybe he had plausible. He had a plausible cause here because he was, bitching and moaning about the fight. And maybe this is the reason why, because of that failed drug test. I don't know. I'm only speculating. But I did find it kind of bizarre that he was ranting and raving about this fight for the last 4 weeks now. And at first I thought he was over exaggerating or, he's overreacting because, at the end of the day, his son is his own, his son is 33 years old. He makes his own decisions. He doesn't need his daddy to hold his arm every time he signs a contract, okay? Or hold his hand, I should say. If he signs a contract and he agrees to these stipulations, that's on him, all right? In fact, Eddie Hearns even said that it was Chris Eubank who suggested the catch weight. But however, what Eddie Hearn did not say is that if Chris Eubank Jr. was the one, or this Eubank side was the one who also offered the rehydration clause, which I doubt they would do. But hey, Chris Jr. agreed to it. He agreed to it. But anyhow, I could see why Chris Sr. was reacting the way he is because of this situation and what's going on behind the scenes. So perhaps he had plausible cause of leaking the story, which if he did, then I don't blame him. Because at the end of the day, you're talking about your son's life here because his opponent just failed a drug test. He's gaining massive muscle and he's knocking everybody out recently. And you want to deplete my son and you want to make him, become weak at the day of the fight. No. That's not how it works. So now if it's a catch weight, that's one thing. But as far as rehydration, that's ludicrous. Me personally, I don't like these catch weight clauses, and I don't like these rehydration clauses either. Now, catch weights, I could say, okay, it's a little bit bearable, but as far as these rehydration clauses, man, I am no fan of this at all. No fan of it at all. Again, some people could say, well, wait a minute, hold on here. You got to give the small fighter some bit of you got to give them some bit of leeway here. Not leeway, but you got to come to the middle with them. You got to give them some chance of winning the fight. You can't just have all the advantages because you're the way bigger and longer guy. I mean, it is what it is, but back in the old days, I know this is not the old days anymore. Many small fighters fought big guys at their best. with all their advantages, and they're going up against them with disadvantages. They've done it for years, and they were able to succeed. So it is what it is, man. We're in a new age of boxing. It doesn't work like that anymore to some extent. I get it. But at the end of the day, I just don't believe that we should be having rehydration clauses and catchweights to make fights happen. But again, if the opposing fighter agrees to it, then that's on him. That's on him. So at this point, Eddie Hearn's going out there. Him, and Kari Sullivan, they had to put out a presser on Friday that they were going to postpone the fight. Not cancel, postpone. Okay, I get it. But how long are you going to postpone it for? Because Conor Benn's got to serve out some type of punishment here. Now, as far as his ban is concerned, it could be up to 4 years. In fact, UCAT is investigating it. So I find it weird that Eddie Hearn's coming out and saying that, well, this is a VADA situation, not UCAT. Then why the hell is VADA getting involved? Why are they interviewing it and starting to launched the investigation to Benn's adverse finding that he came back positive for? Why are they getting involved since this has nothing to do with them? Since it's not their jurisdiction as Eddie Hearn would say. He's all over the place. At this point, at the rate that he's going, as far as his contradictions and his lies is concerned, he's starting to eclipse Tyson Fury. I mean, that's no laughing matter, but god damn, man. What I find very striking to me is that at that presser, he didn't want to take any questions. The day after that, when was the day after that? Yeah, it was the day after that. It was Saturday. He gives an interview with Coogan Cassis, his buddy. And of course, we know Coogan likes to give these softball questions, and no disrespect to Coogan, and we all know what he does. But at the end of the day, if you want to maintain your access, which is your bread and butter, then yeah, you gotta play nice, as you want to call it. You don't want to bite the hand that feeds you. But at the end of the day, I can understand why he was giving softball questions to Eddie Hearn. But the fact is that he knew about the situation. He tried to keep it quiet until the fight, had concluded. That if it came out later, then he would have addressed it, just like the Dillian Whyte and Oscar Rivas situation, which I'm going to tie into right now because, again, I don't give a damn if people get upset with me for bringing it up, but I have to because it's relevant to the story. Same thing with Dillian Whyte. Dillian tested positive for Dianabol by UCAD, but not VADA. Now, at that time, as I recall, Eddie Hearn says that, well, VADA tested negative, so why should we pay attention to UCAD? That's what everybody else was saying. And by the way, Eddie Hearn had the public in his side in that situation because Dillian was coming off a win in a final eliminator against Oscar Rivas, which he gets a shot at Deontay Wilder, who was a champion at the time. So the public did not want anybody to intervene in that situation. So people were like, no, you can't come out and do this. Don't launch any investigations because we're going to get you. We're going to cripple you as far as, public relations is concerned. Do not intervene. We're dealing this close to getting a shot at Deontay Wilder. This is the public's perception when Eddie Hearn pretty much had on his side at the time when this whole thing blew over. Now, by the way, it gets a little worse in that situation because Oscar Rivas' team didn't know about it until the story got leaked that Dillian failed the drug test. And aside from the glove situation, because I think that was equally worse. That's just equally worse or not equally worse, but a little bit worse than that because the gloves that he wore for that fight weren't even expected by Team Rivas. I mean, they had no choice, but it's like, well, fuck it. We spent too much time training, for the training camps and whatnot, for the sparring partners. We got to get paid, so we have to go through the fight. It is what it is. But the fact is that it's such a tiny victory that I refuse to give Dillian Whyte any credit for that win. I don't give a damn. It's on his record as a W. He don't deserve credit for that win because that fight was tainted. He went in there with a, pretty much he went in there with a banned substance. Didn't let his opponent know about it until the story got leaked. Let alone the WBC didn't even know about it until the story got leaked. And what did the WBC do? They sanctioned Dillian. They removed him as the mandatory. And a lot of people got angry at them for doing that. But look, it was the right thing to do because I'm not a fan of the WBC and their antics and what they do. But the fact is that you didn't tell us that you failed the drug test. So we got to sanction you. So don't, you can't just get away with that. How do you set an example by letting this guy get a pass because he's paying you all these sanctioning fees, although he failed the drug test? It didn't even tell you, but didn't even tell his opponent, nor their team. They kept it, they kept it secret, Eddie Hearn. And I go further than that. The whole Julio Cesar Chavez and the Danny Jacobs fallout. Let's talk about that for a second. People have short-term memory. I get it. It's boxing. We all have short-term memories. Leading up to that fight, Chavez Jr. and Danny Jacobs all agreed to random-style drug testing in Nevada. The fight was going to be staged in Las Vegas, Nevada. The day that Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. was scheduled to get a test, right? I don't think they gave him a heads up or whatever. They just randomly showed up at the gym that he was at. When they showed up, and this, I'm hearing two sides of the story here. Either he told them to fuck off, don't get out of my gym, or he literally ran outside because he didn't want to get tested. And because of his antics and refusing to comply with the VADA testing, prerequisites, INSAC just had enough with it. They say, you know what? They told Eddie, say, you know what, Eddie, we're not going to sanction this guy. We're not going to license him because he's refusing to comply with the VADA drug testing requirements. He's not complying. So we cannot sanction this fight, and we cannot give him a license. And supposedly, Eddie Hearn was threatening to do some type of injunction with INSAC over that situation. I believe he did. But instead, going through the legal ramifications of procedures with that, he decided to move the fight to Arizona. He decided to do that because he realized there was less strict, there was a less, it was more lax rules when it comes to getting licensed over there to fight. So Chavez Jr. didn't have to be subjected to the Nevada's state rules when it comes to getting licensed to fight there, which involves you have to partake in random style drug testing. So yeah, Eddie Hearn he conspired that situation. People don't talk about that. Okay. The fact is, he's been a hypocrite over drug offenders for many, many, many years, right? He dogged out Canelo. Oh, yes, he did. He called Canelo a forever drug cheat. He also implied that he'll never work with him. But lo and behold, he's worked with Luis Ortiz. He's worked with Alexander Povetkin with a handful of fights. He's worked with now his best buddy Canelo Alvarez. Which, by the way, Canelo's a free agent, so who knows if he's going to resign with Matchroom. From the looks of it, he may. So he's working with him now. Dillian White. Who else now? Conor BENN recently. So, and by the way, we got to bring this up too. Anthony Joshua. Yes, he hasn't failed a drug test, but what I can't help but to bring this up, and it makes me wonder, why did he constantly needed to get a TUE exemption since after the Olympics? Why did he do that? And by the way, Anthony Joshua was asked about this when Jarrell Big Baby Miller, and I'll get to him in a second in this live stream, when Jarrell Big Baby Miller called him out during the first presser, and Joshua was asked about that, in front of reporters, he didn't deny that he got TU exemptions for testosterone use. He never denied that. All he said was like, look, I comply with with VADA testing. I get tested year round, randomly, yada yada yada. But he never addressed why did you continue to get TU exemptions for testosterone use after the Olympics for your fights? Why did you do that, Joshua? He never answered that question. So I thought that was suspect right there. I know people say, why are you citing Big Baby Miller? Because he was a drug offender before he got caught, going into the Joshua fight. Yeah, I get all that. But again, Joshua never denied that. That's the thing. All he said was that I get tested randomly, I comply with the drug testing measures, and I pass every single one of them. That's not the question that was asked to him. He was asked, is it true that you've been getting TUE exemptions for testosterone use? That's the yes or no. He didn't answer that question. So I have to bring this up because that right there is another thing that's kind of weird. And I also want to add too is that just speculation, only theory. This has been going on in the UK for years now where fighters are getting popped for their A samples and they're allowed to fight because of the technicality of the B sample. It makes, because I have to bring this up. These are non-UK fighters. Eric Molina and I believe Tony Thompson. Was it Eric Molina? Because it could have been somewhere else, but I think it was Tony Thompson too. I know it was Tony Thompson and Erkin Tepper. Those are the two I do know. I'm not sure about Eric Molina. But as far as Erkin Tepper and Tony Thompson, both of them fought David Price years ago, and they knocked him out. Okay? Tony Thompson knocked him out twice, and Erkin Tepper knocked him out once. They only had one fight, he knocked him out. Both of those fighters years later after that fight failed the drug test. They had a positive test after those fights. Why did it take so long for that to be reported? Perhaps it was a technicality where both fighters had an A sample that came back positive, but yet there's a technicality that will allow them to fight until they could submit the B sample, which is a very, very bizarre technicality right there. So Tony Thompson, we didn't find out until maybe 3 years later, 3 years later after that fight, we found out he tested positive. This Erkin Tepper, I think we found out 2 years after that. So this is bizarre. Tyson Fury, oh, I'm bringing him up too. Oh yeah, I'm keeping it consistent, guys. I'm bringing this up. Tyson Fury, he failed a drug test before the Christian Hammer fight, but he was allowed to proceed to that fight and then fight Klitschko after that. We didn't find out till a year later, I believe, that he failed that test. So why is this technicality keeps getting used when it comes to these fighters getting tested positive in the UK, whether it's UCAD, whether it's VADA? What in the hell is going on there? Seriously, I think they need to restructure their rule that if you get caught with a positive sample on your A sample, we need to postpone that fight until your B sample comes back. That's the way it should be. But yet the UK doesn't have that type of rule, from my understanding, where it allows these fighters to go ahead and supersede that and get away with it. And I think that's what Eddie Hearn's been doing for, I'm not going to go too far with this. I think that's what he did with the Conor, trying to do with the Conor Ben fight, and he obviously got away with it with the Dillian White fight. That's exactly what's going on here. So I just don't understand how this is even being allowed, man, because this is we're talking about dangerous territory here. Whatnot. Okay, so yeah, guys. I mean, yeah, this is why I'm trying to figure out who knew what and when. And obviously, the parties that I mentioned, Eddie Hearn knew about it. Conor Ben knew about it, obviously. Chris Eubank Jr. knew about it. Senior knew about it. Bridgeport Boston Control knew about it. And UCAT knew about it. But the question is why did UCAT, I'm not saying UCAT, why did the Bridgeport Boston Control, why did the Bridgeport Boston Control take immediate action after they found out? Why didn't they do that? Of course, we all know why they didn't do that. Everything had to be kept quiet, keep confidential, because everybody wants to make money at the end of the day, right? Just speculation. But as soon as that story got leaked, they immediately pulled the plug from that fight. They didn't want their hands attached to that. Because of the Dillian White fallout, I believe. They like, nah, man, we barely survived that. So if this happens again, we're washing our hands from this. That's just my only speculation. And by the way, some people are suggesting that, well, this is adverse findings, which means that it could be considered inconclusive. Okay, well, if it is inconclusive, then explain to me, why did Eddie Hearn cancel the Alexander Usyk and Tyron Spong fight? As I recall, Spong got caught with a PED, which is an adverse finding. Eddie Hearn killed the fight because of that. So if this situation with Conor Ben is an adverse finding, which means it's minuscule and it's meaningless, then why did he cancel the Tyron Spong fight with Alexander Usyk? Can anyone explain that to me? Again, the double standards. I know some people are trying to find some way to give Conor Ben or Eddie Hearn the benefit of the doubt, which I can't see how you're going to do that, because to me, that's insane. But I saw some videos suggesting that. But if that's the case, then explain why did Alexander Usyk and the Tyron Spong fight get canceled? Because of adverse finding. So this whole thing is a mess, and it came back and bit Eddie Hearn in the ass. It's a PR crisis with Matchroom right now. This has not been a good year at all for Matchroom. Joshua just lost twice to Usyk. He's had a mental breakdown over those two losses. Lost 3 of his last 5 fights. He's not the same fighter again. Dillian White just got knocked out by earlier this year. He's got knocked out horribly 2 of his last 3 fights. We don't know if he's gonna, continue to fight again. But there's rumor is that he is gonna fight again. Canelo lost early this year. Yes, he bounced back from off that loss against Bivol and beat Golovkin in a trilogy, which was a snooze fest from them, for some parts, but it wasn't a good fight. But it is what it is. But Canelo is out of contract with Matchroom. Who knows if he's going to resign with them? But there are indications that I believe that he will resign with Matchroom for another multi-fight deal. Who knows? And now you got this kind of bed situation. You got the sewn bosses breathing down your neck about venues not making money around the about events not making money around the world. You lost money on the last two Canelo fights. This is just a bad year for Matchroom. Bad year. Furthermore, he lost to Stranglehold in the heavyweight division. Pretty much now, Frank Warren's got control of the heavyweight division in the UK. As far as the U.S. top rank, pretty much have somewhat control of it because they have Tyson Fury as their champion. But the PBC still got some good heavyweights. They still got Deontay Wilder. They still got Luis Ortiz, Andy Ruiz, and whatnot. I know top rank got Big Baby Anderson, F.A. Ajaba, and Richard Torres, whatnot. So I think that's it's safe to say that again, Eddie Hearn's stranglehold in the heavyweight division is collapsed. And whose fault is that? He took the eyeball off of that. You know why? Because to me, I think he wanted to expand his horizons. Nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, you can't take your eyeball off of what's making you the most money, what's bringing in more of the audience. You know what that is? Is it Anthony Joshua? Absolutely. But who else? All the players involved. The Deontay Wilders, the Tyson Furies, the Alexander Usyk, who just got into the heavyweight division. Luis Ortiz Andy Ruiz. You have to really focus on that division, as Hatman says, because that's the money division. Historically, when it comes to boxing, that's the heavyweight. The heavyweight division has always been the main attraction. Always been the main attraction. That's where the money is at. That's where the audience is going to go. But you know what? It is what it is, man. He tried to expand his operation, his horizon, his ambitions. He's focusing on Canelo for the most part. But nothing wrong with it. But at the end of the day, that can only go so far, and it can only last so long. I know EJ wanted me to drop a link, but while he gets on, I want to get to this other list of topics real quickly. Man, it doesn't look good for Eddie Hearn, man. What's it going to be? Should he be sanctioned? I don't know. At the end of the day, it'd be hard to sanction him because of the fact that he tried to get an injunction. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing in the rule book that says that he should be penalized or be sanctioned because he tried to get an injunction to allow a fight to go ahead when his fighter failed the drug test. But if there's going to be a sanction, then maybe someone from the sanctioning body who sanctioned this fight should sanction him and say, or someone, maybe the British Board of Boxing Control, I don't know. But the thing is, how could he sanction them when they were all involved? So I don't see how they could sanction him right now. But this is anywhere else. Yeah, he would have lost his promoter's license for trying to cover this up. He would have. But let me get into this Draymond Green real quickly, man. And some of you may not have seen the tape. This is NBA basketball talk right now, real quickly. Draymond Green, man, people don't know who he is. He's the power forward or the enforcer of the Golden State Warriors. Okay, he has been instrumental to their championship run over the last decade or so. He is a multiple All-Star, Olympian. So Draymond Green is a good player. But what happened recently, he got into a physical altercation with his teammate Jordan Poole. Now, from what I've read and heard, him and Jordan Poole has been at odds ever since Jordan Poole joined the team. And allegedly, at first it was alleged that he punched him in practice, and then the story broke that he had punched him, and then the Warriors are going to go ahead and take action against him. But lo and behold, a video got leaked through TMZ, and I seen the video, and that punch looked violently bad, dude. I thought Jordan Poole was like knocked out cold or killed him, but obviously he didn't kill him because obviously it would have been reported, but. The punch was so fast. It was so laser. It was like a Deontay Wilder right hand. Green launched that right hand ferociously, man. It was like, whoa. But Jordan Poole, though, hey, credit Jordan Poole because he took that punch. But if you look at the video, he rolled off of it a little bit. But it did connect. He did felt the effect of that punch because he collapsed. But the fact is he got back up, he shook it off, and he finished practice. So he wasn't really hurt. He didn't suffer a broken jaw. He just got, he just suffered a sting on the shot. That's all it was because he rolled off on it. But anyhow, it doesn't excuse Draymond Green for what he did because he's a fucking idiot. He knows to be a hothead for what he is. So right now, the tapes got leaked. Now he's talking about I need to take some time off for the Warriors organization. Yeah, we all know what's coming. If you go through the arbitration, they're going to suspend him for probably a whole year, the whole season because of what he did. I don't know what else he's got to do to, to fuck his career over. Draymond Green, that is. But that's just my take on it, man. I ain't got much to say about Draymond Green. What up, EJ?
Yo, what's up, Dan? How you doing? What's up, fans? What's up, everyone in the chat? What's going on, bro?
Not much, man. Just finally wanted to go ahead and go through this, man, the list of topics, so, about my take on what's going on this whole week, this whole
Mm,
Matchroom fiasco.
yeah.
And yeah, so what's your thoughts on it, man?
Oh, well, I just listened to Frank Warren, take on the whole thing, and British boxing, in terms of their reputation, has took a massive hit, man. It's took a massive hit on the board. Obviously they found the findings, and the fans are upset that the British board didn't act quick enough, and also they're upset how the British board have not took action to suspend Conor Ben,
Yeah,
to suspect to court to fine the promoters for trying to force the fight to happen. They're not having took no action going that way.
right.
UCAD has been ignored, and also trying to drain a fighter to get an advantage. I mean, if you think about the things that if you think about it, right, what Eddie Hearn was trying to do to Eubank to make a fight, to make sure he's fight at advantage is it's ridiculous. I mean, trying to make the kid come down to weight, making Conor Ben come up weight, which is obviously dangerous for both parties. And then obviously Conor Ben put pressure so much that he's took something to try and get an advantage on top of that, and trying to tell the board that we're going to take lawyer action to try and think. So the right now the fans in England, and people say the fans in England are the best fans in boxing. Um, right now all the fans are upset. They're very upset. They're
Yeah,
confused, and because it shows that the money and the power over boxing has caused this to happen. Eddie Hearn is tainted. Frank Warren has come out and he can't believe it himself, and he said, rightly so, the fans are walking around and they're not talking about boxing anymore. They're talking about who else is dirty, and I'm sure
yeah,
you over in the States is thinking, well, if Eddie Hearn try to cover this and try to force this, what else has he done? And then when you think about it, you start looking at AJ, who shrunk a lot, he lost a lot of weight, looks different, and
yeah,
some of his fighters, some of his colleagues, and apparently Frank Warren pointed out that Matchroom have done this a few times with Chavez Jr.
yeah.
The board they found that he drug tested, so they moved the fight to Arizona. Then also
Right.
they did it with Julian Jackson back in the days against Harold Bowman Graham.
Yeah, I
The
remember
British
that.
board found that he was blind, and he looked like he had like arthritis in one of his eyes or something like that. And
Yeah,
the British board didn't have the fight, so they moved it to Spain, and that's where he got knocked out. But um, the British board found that that guy is not legal to fight, and they moved it over. And it shows you that this with Matchroom, they have a history of trying to circumvent the British board, and
the rules
but the FIFA,
overall.
yeah, but the FIFA, I'm gonna
Yeah,
be clear with this one. If the fight was gonna go ahead and it was an epic fight, no one would care. So
right.
do we? I mean, we're making up a lot of further about the whole thing. But are we making upset because we didn't see the fight, or are we upset that the right people haven't done the right rulings and certain people are punished? Because
Um,
we live in a
well,
world of morals, but the
yeah,
morals have been circumvented by rich people. Go ahead.
yeah. That's a good question because that's something I've been asking myself too. Because where was his vitriol with the Dillian White situation? Because it's exactly the same, pretty much the same situation. But as I laid out, the only difference is that people were because at that time Eddie Hearn had the public on his side over that matter because Dillian was just coming off a win in the final eliminator, a title eliminator, which who the winner between him and Rivas is going to get a shot at Deontay Wilder. And we wanted to see that fight for a long time now. So when Wilder was a champion, there were nobody was going to get in the way of that. They didn't care if any UCAD story. I'm sorry, UCAD testing or UCAD investigation or leaked, a story by Thomas Hauser. None of that was going to get away of Dillian White getting a shot at the title against Deontay Wilder. So Eddie Hearn had more of the public support on that in front. So that's why he was able to get away with that. You know what I mean? But this one, I think the reason being is because it was a bizarre fight to begin with. You got a guy, Conor Ben, who's a natural light welterweight, going up to middleweight. You know what I mean? And you got Chris Eubank Jr. as a natural middleweight, but he's fought as high as super middleweight, right? You know what I mean? And he's fought on world level for several years now. It was a bizarre fight to make, and it's like, well, why is this fight even happening? No, none of these guys are champions. You know, Eubank is pretty much at the crossover of his career. Conor Ben is a prospect, so why is this fight even happening? You know what I mean? Why is it Conor Ben fighting the welterweights? He's the top 10 welterweight from the latest rankings. Why is he fighting none of them? So it's like, okay, this is weird. But yet the tickets sold out. The venues, the hotels were booked. They were going to make a lot of money on this event. So I guess there was some intrigue there because of the legacies of the Ben, the rivalry between the Ben and Eubanks. You know what I mean? So I guess in this instance, given the fact that Eubank was being drained, the fact that he couldn't rehydrate for a certain amount of pounds going into the fight, which I think is less than 80 pounds, which is very severe. And the fact that he got caught, Ben got caught with a drug test and nobody knew about it. I guess it looks bad that Eddie Hearn tried to pursue this, knowing he got caught before the fight. If it was after the fight, okay, maybe he would have gotten away with it, like he did with Dillian White. But the fact is, he tried to force this before the fight. That's what looks bad. That's what looks bad. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess now, the fact that he couldn't make I guess all this stuff is stemming up. It's all building up. The years of frustration. Couldn't get the big fight with Joshua and Wilder. Couldn't get the big fight with Fury and Joshua. Yeah, first time around is not his fault. We get that. But the second time around, which happened recently, we all know he killed that fight. And I don't blame him for killing it, but at the end of the day, he killed that fight. So that, Canelo taking L's, losing money on the Canelo pay-per-views. Who knows if Canelo's going to re-sign with Matchroom again? Because his contract is up right now. And now this crap with Conor Ben. It's like, this is, I guess that he's losing a lot of public support over how he handled the situation. Because he's a guy who said himself that I don't like drug cheats. I wouldn't work with him. Even though he's been a hypocrite, he's worked with them in the past. But it is what it is. So
when he tried to call Pascal a cheat, I don't Boatsy fighting him, but the truth of the matter is Boatsy would probably lose against Pascal.
Oh yeah,
right?
he would have lost that fight.
And he called Pascal a drug treat. Commonly, right, almost put that out there that he's a drug treat. The way he talked about Big Baby Miller, but when it's one of his boys, we don't know what's going on. It's adverse finding. We're gonna find out. In fact, we're trying to. We're gonna, because the thing is that just shows you, right?
Yeah.
If a Big Baby tested for the drugs, listen, if it weren't commissioned, Eddie would have made that fight. Eddie has no regard for the fighters. He has no respect for the fighters. And consequently, he ruined Kell Brook's career. Yes, Kell Brook's going to take the fight against Triple G. I'm talking about that fight. Of course, he is a fighter, right? He's going to say, Kell, do you want to fight? Oh, I'll fight anyone. Of course I will. But it really is in the best interest to put your welterweight champion against the middleweight champion when they don't need to fight. It was a fight they didn't need to fight. It was Eubank was supposed to fight him. So why didn't you find another middleweight at the time to fight him? But yet you threw your welterweight in there to make money and broadcast and make money. Yeah, it did make money. It drummed up a lot of attention. It made money and all that. But what was the consequences out of that? I mean, Triple G, he come out of it fairly okay. But look at your welterweight. He got a detached retina. Then, because of that, now you made a lot of money off that. You used that money to give him in Sheffield Wednesday a home ground, but he's damaged. Then he goes against Errol Spence and he damaged the other eye. Now if he went straight into the Errol Spence fight, it'd have been more even. I don't think that whole thing would have happened. But you damaged him. So what you said, there was severe damage to Kell Brook, right? Yeah. And then we could talk about another guy. There's another guy called Lee Purdy. Right, Lee Purdy was another guy. He would have get David Alexander, and the night before, apparently they were trying to make him wait, and he was in a sauna the whole night trying to make the weight. So the boy, when he came in there, he had no power, right? And then they put him in there with Leonard Bundu for the European title, and he actually got smashed up so badly that he retired. Eddie Hearn did this on his watch, right? It's documented. Then you got Dillian White and the B sample with Rivas. Now listen, let's be fair. Dillian, as a fighter, will fight anyone, right? Now, the commissioner found out the same thing, that this guy's tested positive for a banned substance. Now, the British board have let this go down. That's what happened. They let this go down. They circumvented it. Don't worry about it. Let's get the fight over. We'll do all that stuff later on. Yeah. Right? We still didn't get the B sample, but we know that he obviously stuff like that. And we've just gone and forgot about that stuff there. And Dillian White, unfortunately, was banned from the British board with some drug service. But because he's with Eddie Hearn, he's protected. So what we're saying is that if you're with Hearn and you're a drug cheat, you can be protected. That's what it is, because Canelo is with
Yeah,
Eddie Hearn, right?
yeah.
And other fighters. So now we're looking at, oh, okay, Eddie Hearn, and now this doctor's come out. We don't know this doctor. He's
Dr.
saying
Uzma.
yeah. He
Yeah,
said, Dr. Usman in his own words said it's a fool. A fighter's a fool to be tested positive. So basically, in UCAD, in UCAD, this is what I'm talking about. Not UCAD, not the other one, USADA, the one that
yeah.
by Margaret Good.
Vada.
Yeah,
Vada.
VADA, right?
Yeah.
In UCAD, you have to be a fool to get to be caught by that. That means there's way of circumventing, and he's Tyson Fury's guy. He's Tyson Fury's guy. So what Dillian White was, Deontay Wilder was talking about, this guy's been cheating. He gets a liberty. Now what was in the dark has come to light. So basically, that guy knows how to beat the system. So they knows when this UCAD come around, they've told them in the weeks before they're coming around this date, this time. So make sure you're clean that day.
Yeah.
That's what's been going on. That is exactly what's been going on. And the people are looking at this and they're discussing. I mean, we had this in athletics in the 80s,
Yeah.
with Ben Johnson and what's it, Kathy Jr. or Jackie Thingy
Jackie
Jr.
Jordan Kersey.
Yeah. Jackie Jordan Kersey and Flojo back then, right?
Yeah.
We had back then with them, lot, and unfortunately she's not with us no more. And Ben Johnson admitted later on, yeah, I was taking it. But everyone else was taking it.
Yeah,
Everyone
Carl
else was taking it
Lewis
as well.
too. I mean, I think he got
Yeah.
caught with something later on. He's like, "Who cares if I got caught with anything?" I'm like, "What?"
No, Carlos, he never got caught for a fine, but then he was the one who put the fingerprint down on the Jamaicans and saying the Jamaicans are taking it when the
Right.
Jamaicans never had no test, they'd never been caught for nothing. But how are they circumventing the system? So it's like, so now when you think about athletics, you every time you watch it, you're thinking these guys are shooting. So what's happening in the British boxing fans' mind is that when we're watching these events, how many of these athletes have been taking this stuff? That's what's gone through my mind now as a
Yeah.
person from in the UK. And now that's very unsettling. That's very unsettling. And the board hasn't come out and took actions. That's the worst thing. First off, the board didn't act quick enough. Yeah. Then also, there's no suspensions on Conor Ben, and the promoters are not getting fined because, again, it comes down to money and greed. And this is what goes in the government when we're talking about, Biden and Trump and whoever. And now we
Yeah.
talk about in the UK with Boris Johnson. It's the same thing in the boxing. Eddie Hearn's a rich promoter. Saulin's a rich promoter. Or are they beyond from being chastised by the British Board of Control? It seems that way, and that is very unsettling in itself. They make it seem, and this is almost like the WWE in a way. If you think about
Yeah.
Vince McMahon, when he was a commentator, we just thought Vince McMahon was the commentator. I did anyway. I didn't know
Right.
he owned the wrestling. I used to think it was President Jack Tunney. That's what they told us. So
Right.
who really is? So now I'm saying to you, Dan, who really is running the British Board of Control? Maybe it's Eddie Hearn. Maybe it's
Yeah.
Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren. And it's
Yeah.
not really the people they tell you it is. They're just puppets. They've been told what to do and what to say and who to do things. Because why is it that this has gone down and nothing's happened to the relevant parties? Conor Ben, nothing. Eddie Hearn and Nissa and Kalasawa, nothing. I
Yeah.
mean, Eubank really and truly, he's at fault out of his greed. His dad said he's a greedy little pig. That's what his dad called him, a greedy little pig. But they
Yeah.
try to kill my son, and he has there's facts towards that, because the weight thing is dangerous, making
Right.
him come down the weight, and the rehydration clause was the more egregious thing, that you couldn't
Yeah.
even let him eat a certain food there, and he was going to go into a bout where he wasn't at his best. Why would any sanctioning body, anyone agree to that? And why would Eddie put that sort of clause on a fighter and handicap him and make him in that thing to punish him? Well, Kell Brook, if you look at Kell Brook and Amir Khan,
Yeah.
Amir Khan did it to Kell Brook, and
Yeah. True.
we as fans accepted it. How many times has Triple G as Canelo did it to a fighter? How many times did Manny Pacquiao did it to Oscar De La Hoya? I
Yeah.
mean, these are the truth matters. And we accept there and let Oscar De La Hoya walk into that fight as a skeleton, and Manny Pacquiao beat the hell out of him. And we watched that fight because of money. That fight should have never happened, man.
Yeah.
Never happened.
Should never happen, but it is what it is. I mean, you got a point there. But I would want to say though, is that supposedly Eddie Hearn's talking about adverse findings, which means the samples that the amount that was found in the system was was minimal at best. So we don't have to pay attention to that. Well, if that's the case, we need to ignore the adverse findings. But if that's the case, then why did Eddie cancel the Alexander Usyk and Tyron Spong fight for adverse findings? When Spong had an adverse findings his system against Usyk, he canceled that fight based off adverse finding. So somebody should address that to him and say, well, if you're going to keep referring to adverse findings, then why did you cancel the Alexander Usyk and Tyron Spong fight?
Mm-hmm.
Why did you do that? For the same reason, adverse finding.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's looking like Tyson Fury. At best, worse. All these contradictions, all these lies, it's all catching up. People, all these vast statements, all these interviews are coming back to bite him in the ass right now. And he's regretting it. It's like, dude, you can't sit there and call out other drug chiefs when they're not your fighters. But when it comes to your fighters, you'll find every legal loophole you can to get them to fight.
Well, it just seems like Bob Arum and Eddie Hearn. Yeah. We know that Bob Arum is some people think it's funny that he says certain things one day and says another, oh, he's old, that's Bob. But then you'd hold Don King a certain standard because he's the guy, he's the bad guy. But Bob Arum's been doing, I'm not saying in drugs thing, he's been doing dodginess for years. But the thing is, and Eddie Hearn is going to continue doing this. You know why? You know why they get away with it? Because they give us the fights we want. That's what it comes down to, right? Yeah. We are watching entertainment. The entertainment, okay, the promoters are getting chastised. But as soon as they give us the fight we want, is anyone going to be on this shit? No. No. I don't care. We're talking like we're Dudley Do, right? But the fact of the matter is, the moment the fights we get, we don't care. We don't care. We're addicted to talking about how bad these people are, and obviously it's shown they are, and it's public, right? But but listen, it will just continue because you know why? The relevant people they're not going to be fined for this. They're not going to be fined. As far as any laws are broken, what laws have the promoters broken for them to get fined? Really thinking about it. They suggested that they should get another sanctioning body. They suggested that they're going to put lawyers against the board. It was all suggested, but nothing really came out of it. We're upset that they suggested. So in my mind, they should get fined because just to teach them a lesson, they shouldn't even came out with that notion, which is true, right? Yeah. But nothing really acted on it. What really course of action should happen to the promoters? Really, legally, what have they did legally? They tried to do something, right, but they didn't do nothing.
Because legally, look, at this point, I was actually, thinking about this thoroughly, and I'd say, you know what? There's no way you can sanction Eddie Hearn for this. As much as he should be punished, but at this point, the only thing you can do is punish him through his fighter, Conor BENN, because he's the one who had the drug in the system, not Eddie Hearn. And the only thing you can do is just, okay, we're going to have to sanction your fighter because it is what it is. What example does it set if we're going to allow him to get away with this? Like we did with the Dillian White situation. We already gave you the benefit of the doubt over him. We can't do it this time with Conor. We can't. Like the British board or UCAD would say. So at this point, I think he'll get a year banned. I think one year.
No, I don't know. I don't think it'll happen. Because you know why? I'll tell you why. I'll tell you where the loophole is, right? Now, UCAD have found it. Not UCAD. VADA have found something, right? It's up to the British board to see what they're going to do. And as again, what happened with the Revis? Nothing happened. Right. Dillian White, same thing. Dillian White did it. Did Dillian White get a suspension? Did he lose his license? No. Why? Because Eddie Hearn was involved, and this is what's happened to. You're not going to suspend my fighter. In fact, you're going to shut your mouth, and we're just going to leave this and let it go away. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Conor Benn's not going to. And then that's what Eddie Hearn's boasting, where the British board didn't suspend him, and UCAD because UCAD tested Conor, and we didn't find nothing. But the VADA did. They did find something. So what's going on? Well, I don't know. We're going to find out. Well, what's happened is that VADA have tested you, and you knew the UCAD test was coming, and you made yourself clean for the UCAD one in case this went down. So in case this stuff went down, you couldn't blame him. So as far as the British Border Control, you passed their testing. So if you passed their testing, nothing could happen to you. But that fight should have been prohibited straight off the rip. Straight off the rip when they found it. But you try to let this thing go down like the Oscar Rivas and Dillian White. Now, Dillian White's name's been brought up in this now, right? Because people still haven't seen the B sample, and it's not going to go away. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Is people still going to pay money to see Dillian White? And if anyone's good media, they'll be on this shit. But, I talk to certain people in the media, right? And you know what they tell me? They're not going to pursue this. I said, why not? Well, if I might use my media credentials. I said, what? Said, yeah. I'm not going to use my media credentials over this. I'm just going to keep my nose clean and this and that. But you go, but you know you're interviewing people potentially cheating. So what are you
Yeah.
living? You're living a lie. So what? So the boxing people in media who got disrespected by Eddie Hearn and walked that home, they've sat there like sheeps and acting like they're Dudley Ryan. If anyone's got any sense, if I will, they'd leave Eddie Hearn. But then you go to Frank Warren and you're looking the same thing. So boxing on a whole is the wild, wild west. That's what we're looking at here, mate. In all states,
Yeah.
yeah, all
Yeah.
states. It's terrible. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point, man, because yeah, it's mind-boggling. You may be right here. That may not nothing's gonna happen. It may not happen. They're gonna just wait till this to die down for a while, and then people are gonna forget because at the end of the day, boxing fans do forgive and forget at some occasions, So
Mm.
I mean, to your point though, as far as Dillian White, they're not gonna let this go now because now whenever he fights somebody, they're gonna bring this up. What's up with
Well,
Dillian's
we are. Well,
basically?
the thing is, we're online and more on this stuff than the people actually on the boots on the ground to the thing. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
to the same because
we all
yeah, but
know them. The I have to bring them up. The Michelle Joy Phelps and the Randy Rahims and the Putin Cassis of the world. We all know what they're about. Maybe Rob Tippett's the only one who actually asks tough questions over ID boxing, but other than that, those are the people they know. If they want to continue to have their access, which is their bread and butter, they're not going to ask the questions that are going to piss off these promoters. They're
well,
not
he's
going
not
to
gonna
do
get. Well, he'll get chopped like everyone else.
it.
Fight hype don't cover matchroom events no more, so there's no different. And they were bigger than ID boxing. They don't mind chopping them. For
Right.
Eddie Hearn will chop you in and put you in positions where he needs you because, as he put it, the only one I need to talk to is Coogan because he's got more subscribers than the rest of you. The rest of you guys are nobodies. That's how he talked to the rest of the media. So what I'm saying is that the people like me and you or whatever, we're probably the one who will push the issue as long as possible. But then after a while, we're beating on a dead horse because end of the day, I think Dillian White, let's say Dillian White fights Anthony Joshua or something like that. We're like, rah, okay, they're fighting. Oh, what's the drug system for this one? And then, but when the fight happens, was it a great fight? Because that's the reason we watch fight. When we sit and watch fights, do we really care about the ins and outs, about how much they're getting paid and who's taking drug testing? We're getting,
Mhm.
and that, well, they've allowed us to do that because they've pointed out as a fan, they give us more information and also with the UFC and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
really and truly, you sit there and watch the fight and that fight was epic. Like, give you an example, Pacquiao Marquez,
Mhm.
possibility that both of them was taking something. Is it
Oh
that
yeah.
Marquez took something better than Pacquiao this time? There's a possibility, right?
Yeah.
Now that fourth fight is one of the best fights you've ever seen.
Oh
Does
yeah.
anyone care? Does anyone care that you took he took something, so I took something, and now we're even now and let it rip? That's what I'm trying to tell you, Dan. We've got to
Yeah.
the point where they're both at it. They're both at it, or they're doing little clauses or weight catch weights. You got the YouTube boxers coming into the situation. So boxing at right now is at a state where it's like any and everything is possible, and the British board have lost power. That's what's happened more than anything. It's like Nevada is all powerful in Nevada. Nevada Commission. I remember they banned Mike Tyson, right? They said he
Yeah.
could no longer fight in Nevada, but he went to Memphis. He
Yeah, he
went to
sure
Memphis.
did. And he went to England after that. Frank Warren signed him over for a multi-fight deal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You can't stop a man from fighting around the world because each sanctioning body they know about each other, but they have their own jurisdictions.
And
As
their
you
own
do in
rules.
America, you have different
Yeah.
laws. Yeah, exactly. So you could fight anywhere. Danny Williams he can't fight in Britain, but then he could fight other places. So that's where boxing is disjointed. There's no one forever. It's like
Yeah,
almost like
it's no
the
uniform. There's no
yeah, it's like yeah,
uniformity.
it's like almost like the wrestling territories around the day. You had one wrestling organization over here, WWE. You had the AWA over here. You had the WCW over here in Atlanta. You had another one over here, another one
NWA.
over here. Yeah,
Yeah.
all of them. You know what I'm saying? So you had different organizations with different bodies, and also then you got all the different belts. That's why sometimes we don't get undisputed. So you have it's a when it all comes together, it makes music. But when it doesn't, and that's what it is. But Eddie, as long as this is going on, because this weekend we have Clarissa Shields versus Savannah Marshall, right?
Yeah.
That fight hasn't caught no steam as well. First off, I didn't realize, and I have to admit, women boxing is not as popular as most people point out. The ticket sales are terrible. This is
Yeah.
a major fight. Is it to do with the promoters involved? Probably, possibly. They're not as popular as most people. But then I think in general, the fans maybe just don't want to see women fight, because I looked at I could do a YouTube video on this and he don't get no numbers. I'm like, what's going on? She's like the pound for pound best in how many weight classes and trying to do this and do that, and no one really cares in America or the UK. Women boxing is bigger in the UK, yeah, but it's not doing that many numbers. The fight is not doing numbers at all, and this is like a huge fight that most boxing fans would want to see, but really and truly, men in general do not want to see women fight.
Yes,
that's true. That's why women boxing is not going to go 3-minute rounds, or if they're not going to cry, their money is not going to be nowhere. I don't care how much they push this. It's to me, Katie Taylor and Serrano was big. It was in New York because Serrano's, Puerto Rican fans.
Yeah, that's why it was in New York, so that's why I was able to sell a bit.
Yeah, that's right. But you see, the fight with Clarissa Shield really should have been up north, where Savannah's fans are probably bigger, or they should have done it in Michigan. They could have had it in America and Michigan. But they got to sell it where the fans. But London is where everyone can come to. But for whatever reason, it's not caught light, man. It's not caught fire. It hasn't. Maybe the fight itself will be sensational, right? But for whatever reason, that fight is not catching the public imagination, and it's like a dream fight. It's a fight but you maybe because we saw the amateur. I think they shouldn't put the amateur video out. I think that might hurt you some,
Yeah, it might have hurt it a little bit, but particularly Savannah's confidence going into that fight, because it's like you put that video up like 3 days before the fight, and she finds out it got surfaced. I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? She might be haunted by that. She don't need to be reminded about that win that she knew she got a gift decision. So she don't need to be reminded by that. So.
That might have killed the promoter. I thought that was a silly thing to do, because we never seen them actually in combat. When we actually saw it, it's like, yo, this is a mismatch, bro.
Yeah, I mean, to me, looking at that video, yes, Savannah's approved. So is Clarissa. And I'm looking at that video, that footage. I'm like, dude, this fight's gonna go exactly that way. Savannah's gonna back up all night. She's gonna be intimidated by the pressure and the speed and the power of Clarissa Shields. He's gonna be intimidated by that. So it's like, the fight's not gonna go any different. But let me say, it's still a intriguing fight. But the one I'm really intrigued about is the Alicia Baumgartner and the Michaela Mayer fight. Now, I can't stand Michaela Mayer, man. Somebody needs to beat her, take those titles off her, man. I can't stand her. She's like, to me, she's annoying as Tyson Fury to some extent. Just as annoying as he is. Actually, she looks up to him, so obviously that's probably why I can't stand her. But other than that, man, yeah, I don't know, man. Let's hope Matchroom sort this out with this situation, but it's going to be around. Speaking of Jarrell Big Baby Miller, he just did a video, right, on his YouTube channel?
Mm-hmm. No, I didn't know. Go on.
Yeah, he called Eddie Hearn out for being a hypocrite and all that stuff, and mentioned Anthony Joshua about his TUE exemptions. He also went on to say that, the stuff I got caught with, that's nothing compared to what Conor Ben got caught with. Nothing. I'm like, okay, whatever. But the point is, you got caught, bro. But he said that he's gonna be posting videos more often on his channel. And he's right now he's gonna be fighting. He's in Europe somewhere. I think he's in Eurasia. Where is he at? Not in Kazakhstan. He's in Austria somewhere, I think, for his next fight. So I don't know, man.
He's an embarrassment. he's a total embarrassment. He is. Yeah, he should shut his mouth. Yeah, he had the biggest fight for the world title. Anthony Joshua was right there for the pickings, and you, my friend, are a drug cheat, bro. You know what I mean? You're a drug cheat, and I'm glad that they found you. You can't talk about Conor Ben, right? But what he's worried about is that Conor Ben was protected, and he wasn't. That's what he's upset about.
Yeah, that's probably why he's mad. I was thinking about that. That's probably why he's angry about it.
Yeah.
Because at the same time, Eddie Hearn was like really threw him to the wolves and threw him under the bus over that. It's like, what the fuck? And he probably thought he was going to get some protection there, but that didn't happen.
No, it wasn't. But he's promoted by Salih. See, Eddie Hearn knows who to talk shit to and who doesn't. The reason why he talked to because he's managed by Salido. That's why. Demetrius Salido. If it was a Bob Arum guy, he'll keep his mouth shut. This is what you're when I say there's in these promoters things, you got different things. This is why Clarissa Shields' fight's not popping off. Salido's not a big. He's not a big well-known promoter. No, in fact, no one even knows who he is. But see, Clarissa, the reason why she got with Salido is because no one wants to sign her because apparently they said she's hard to deal with.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what I
but
heard.
Showtime didn't want nothing to do with her anymore. So that's fine.
Yeah, she's hard to deal with. People say she's got attitude. I mean, I like her. I mean, I do like I like her. The fact that she does everything and everyone talks shit about her, but she rubs people the wrong way and people don't want to cover her. In fact, it's like the Charlo brothers. It's like boxing media. It's like they don't want to cover certain people. They don't. It doesn't make no sense. The Charlo brothers should be one of the biggest things in boxing, and so should Carissa Shields. But yet, all they're waiting for is for these people to fail. And these people, these are the major organizations. They have some sort of agenda against certain fighters who don't fit who they don't want to push. You know, Anthony Joshua is very big. Eddie Hearns gave him the full marketing, but Clarissa Shields, for whatever reason, and even Bernard Hopkins to a certain extent when he was fighting, unless only when he crossed over to De La Hoya, then he got that marketing and got that kind of exposure as one of the greats. So it's like these people hold should I say, they hold the keys for you to success. And if you don't cross over with them, you're not going to get that. Kayla Mayer, whatever her name is, she's there trying to push her over Bongano, who's with Eddie Hearn. You know what I'm going to say? So that's where we're at the minute. Salido is trying to push over Ben Shalom, but Ben Shalom just started. So that's the reason. Eddie Hearn was the reason why these fights never happened, because in his mind, it don't sell. And to be fair, I have to admit, he's bloody right. Yeah. He ain't selling, but I don't care about the selling. That's the fight that people want to see. And Eddie Hearn will put in money fights on. He didn't want to put on what's her name again, Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano until Jake Paul came in. I'll put the money until he came along and said I'll put the money up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's probably I guess that he's right in one regard. It's like I think Carissa was like she wanted like a lot of money for that Savannah fight. And that's why she didn't really want to take it. But now that you got Scott, Boxer involved, they're willing to put up the money for it. But it looks like they're not going to make a return on investment because they can't sell the tickets.
Yeah.
So I mean, to your point, they should have had this in Newcastle. Why over in freaking London? Oh, places where Savannah's not doesn't have a fan base, but it is what it is. But yeah, man. But yeah, you're right though. Big Baby shouldn't even be talking. And I know he's got a YouTube channel. I subscribe to it, but he says he's gonna be doing a lot more uploads. But if somebody, obviously you can take a look at that video. But other than that, somebody's gonna call him out for that. It's like, dude, you got some nerve to go after. Look, he's just saying, look, at the end of the day, he's calling Eddie Hearn a hypocrite. And that's all he's doing. And he's right though. I have to say, he is a hypocrite.
Yeah.
The reason why he's coming out saying this because he felt that he was not protected in that situation. He was betrayed. So it is what it is. You know what I mean? But other than that, let's talk about the rumor fights that's supposed to be going down. Derek Chisora and Tyson Fury 3. Frank Warren came out and said today that that's pretty much a done deal. What are your thoughts about that one?
What fight? Sorry, what fight?
Tyson Fury and Derek Chisora Part 3.
Yeah, I knew about that. I talked to his trainer. His Derek's trainer about 3 days ago. So I put it out on my channel way before anyone knew that it was happening. Yeah, it's already been signed. Derek's getting about $2 million for that fight. And they've agreed terms. It's already they're just finishing it off, and it's already been agreed as far as I know. The fight's happening. Anthony Joshua's going to be fighting Chris Arreola. Right. That fight is get the legs, and I said to myself, I think Robert Garcia is setting Anthony Joshua up to fail and making sure another Mexican fighter gets paid. That's just.
Well, I don't know. Is Garcia really going to train him for that fight? Is that confirmed?
Yeah, he's going to train him for. He's still back with Angel Fernandez and Anthony Joshua. Yeah, he's back with them, and that's what it is. Yeah. He's still and my whole thing is this year is like, okay, that's a good fight. But he looked good against Ruiz and Anthony Joshua. But I don't know, Anthony. It comes down to Anthony Joshua where his mindset at and what what's going through his mind, whatever. But end of the day, to me, it should be an easy routine fight for Anthony Joshua, a routine win. But is Anthony Joshua still that guy? That's the question. The fight will sell. Arreola is definitely a good talker. He will talk up the fight. He'll give credit to UK fans, but he'll come over. And UK fans will probably like Arreola. I can see them liking him straight off the rap. He talks, you know what I mean? He don't maybe back it up, but you can become a fan favorite. You know, most people in the UK come over as long as they act a certain way and they give the fans they want. It'd be good. Can Joshua rekindle what he can? You know what I'm saying? We'll see. You know, but he'll definitely, in terms of marketable, he definitely will talk up. He's better than Usyk. Usyk's boring as hell. You know, I know you like him. You like that Usyk and just look in a certain way. But mate, Ariola's like it's much better in terms of marketing. I mean, he's gonna get knocked out, but shit, you need someone to actually entertain. Like I give the thing, like you got Lomachenko and you have Teofimo Lopez. I take Teofimo Lopez all day. Why? He's more entertaining. You know what I mean? When he took over the division, it was like, wow, this guy can talk. He's more entertaining. He does flips and you know what I mean. But he didn't for whatever reason he didn't catch light. And then George Kambosos came with more character and he took over. He's another character. So then you look at Devin Haney and you're like, well, Devin Haney, he's been the champion. He just wants to get over this rematch, and then maybe Devin Haney will start talking ish because he become undisputed, right? He's he's the best light. But I think he needs to get this fight over, and he's not trying. And now he's become more religious, talking about Allah, it's like, yo,
he's always been a Muslim.
No, not saying he has always been a Muslim, but it's like, so you've win now. Now that's all you're talking about, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? I tell you, bro. It's like you become more spiritual as you elevated the championship. Before, you was talking like these guys don't want to fight me, reckless. So, you know, really and truly, remember, this game is about characters, building characters that people vicariously live through. You know, Conor McGregor, why he became so famous, big mouth Irish guy, talking bold and talking shit. Bro, people loved that, and he was winning. They're like, yo, who this dude here? You know what I'm saying? That's what we live. You used to big badasses talking that ish and backing up or not backing up. Adrian Broner, that's why he became so successful. People hated him and liked him, but they went to watch him. So you need a couple of them characters in boxing to make people, the fans, make people want to go see. And Ariola, to me, brings that. He hits all the targets in terms of marketability. He's a big mouth. He's definitely, for Andy Joshua, should be able to beat him. And that's it. Derek Chisora is another one. He'll sell the marketing with Tyson Fury. He's another one. He's gonna get paid $2 million. He'll run up his mouth, talk reckless, try and make people believe it. But at the end of the day, we know what's gonna happen. You know, we know what's gonna happen. You know, that's what people. You know, so that's where we are in a minute. You know, you need boxing needs personalities and to sell the fight. But you know, and no delusion of the we feel. But at the same time, Dan, many a time we sat there and said, "Oh, this is a walk in the park." You know, Pacquiao's gonna knock out Marquez. You know, Brera, he gonna beat Pacquiao. Brera's gonna beat Pacquiao. He's pound for pound the best in the world. You know, Donald Curry. Oh, bro, who's this guy, Lord Hannigan? Buster Douglas, are you kidding me? Mike Tyson? Man, shit.
Well, who knows? I mean, to your point, heavyweight division. Who knows? I mean, anything can happen. What if Joshua?
It's not even the heavyweight division.
Well, let's say that.
Any division.
Yeah, any division. Yeah. Let's say Usyk fights Joshua again. Let's say, who's to say Joshua won't win that third time around?
Nah, I don't think so. I don't think so. But what I'm saying is that the fights that we think is gonna go one way happens another way, and that's why boxing is what it is. The guy who wasn't supposed to do that wasn't supposed to be that guy. Tommy Hearns and Iron Barkley. You know, you never know in boxing. That's why we watch the fights, even though we think cockily, it always goes our way. But no, it doesn't. It doesn't, Dan. And that's where we watch stuff. Ariola has a real chance to knock out Anthony Joshua. He does. You know why I say that?
Joshua's confidence is shot to pieces right now.
And not only that, he performed admirably against Ruiz. He battered up Ruiz. Oh, he was weight gain. No, he still was Ruiz. He was battering Ruiz around, arguably. And anyone saw that fight, that Ariola won that fight. Yeah. That's true.
That, but
Bro, when I watched that fight, I didn't think Ruiz won that fight. That's I don't think he won that fight. I think he got the decision, right? And I was surprised about that. But you see, Ruiz won. He won against Ortiz. He blasted up Ortiz, no doubt about that. But he didn't do that against Ariola, man. Ariola buoyed him up.
Well, I mean, look, Ariola lost a lot of rounds. That's the way I seen it. He won out 3 rounds at best, but he lost a lot of them because he hurt his shoulder. He couldn't punch with his right hand, pretty much. So
I don't know about that. He was lucky.
It was a situation where Ruiz hit him in the shoulder and it screwed him up throughout the fight.
Nah, that's what I saw. I saw Ruiz getting battered around ref left, right, and center, and I stick by it.
Yeah.
He won the fight, and off the back of that, why he's got that's off the back of that.
Yeah.
They put him in position to jump in. Oh, who's just jumped? Is that Hamid?
That's Tony. That's Tony Reviews. What's up, Tony?
Oh,
What's
Tony
going
Reviews.
on? Nah, what it looked like to me was Areola was paid to lose because look, I can't say that was what happened because we'll never know. But to me, looking at it, it looked like you had a guy who was supposed to be a challenge. Like, look, make the fight look good, and he beat the shit out of Ruiz too easily. Kept flooring him. He's like, oh shit, and then you see him stop throwing punches. Like it didn't make sense. You had this dude finish. You dropped him twice. And then you just stop throwing punches?
Yeah.
I don't know. It just looked real sus to me. Like I said, allegedly, but to me, it looked like a fighter that was paid to lose.
Well, you know what? It didn't look like the Areola just stopped all of a sudden. You know what I mean? When he was winning the fight, like in the third, like after the fourth or fifth round or something like that. It seems like he just stopped. It's like, okay, I'm going to stop punching now. You take care of the rest. I mean, that's what it looked like, but you know, I see what you're getting at right there. But other than that, yeah, he lost. I mean, that's all I can say. I mean, but could he kept going? I think he could have, but maybe, but he did. He complained about his shoulder, and in fact, Andy Ruiz did hit him on the shoulder, and that kind of disrupted his timing in the way he could throw that punch without the rest of the fight. I mean, so it is what it is on that. But hey, real quickly, Tony, I know you came on, but what's your thought about the Eddie Hearn situation, man?
Well, I mean, you know, I look at it like this.
Yeah.
You know, if my homeboy steals from you and brings me back the money, I'm not going to care. But if my homeboy steals from me and takes my money, I'm definitely going to care. So
right.
He don't care. He don't care if other fighters. I mean, he cares if other fighters cheat his fighters, but he doesn't care if his fighters cheat those fighters. Like,
right.
I mean, that's just the bottom line. Like, he doesn't care. Like, as long as his guy is winning, he doesn't care how he wins. But if somebody tries to cheat his guy, then it's a big deal. It's hypocritical.
Yeah, I mean, we all knew that. I mean, obviously, it was kind of like the Dillian White. I have to bring this up. I know Dillian's your guy, but
he didn't cheat. He didn't cheat.
All right, but look.
And I know where you're going. Where's the B sample? But here's the problem. The UCAD cleared him. The one that said he failed cleared him, and they did a big ass legal document that he posted to his Twitter that you can read. And he was found not to be guilty by the UCAD, the ones who said that he failed the test. So if they prove that they messed up and no adverse substance was found, or they accidentally leaked something into it, then that's not your fault. Like you're cleared. Like you don't need the B sample because you didn't fail. They're taking fault. Had they never done that, had they never released that article, then I would say, yeah, where's the B sample? But being that they cleared him, why would you need the B sample?
Well, here's my understanding. EJ, you probably could chime into this as well. He failed the A sample on the UCAT test. He never denied that. And the fact is that obviously we all knew this meeting was kept in secret until after it got leaked by Thomas Hauser. And the fact is, I know there was a discrepancy about it being an adverse finding that doesn't give you a ground to suspend the fighter. But my question to that is that if that's the case, then why did Eddie Hearn cancel the Usick and Spong fight? Because Tyron Spong had an adverse finding and he canceled that fight.
But it's completely different. The difference here was, so I understand that Conor BENN, and I'm speaking allegedly, because I'm not going to give myself liable, but from my understanding, how I've listened to interviews, the VADA testing was done prior to UCAD coming along.
Right.
Thus, what trace amounts that VADA found, the UCAD did not find because they actually did later testing. That's my understanding. It could have been all at the same time, but my understanding, like I said, was they did VADA first, and then they did UCAD after the fact. The difference with Dillian White was they did UCAD and VADA simultaneously. They were testing them with both drug agencies at the same time, and they were testing for the same things. And within a week, I want to say it was like a week of Dillian White passing VADA, UCAD said he failed it after. And right after that test, VADA tested him again and he was cleared. So there was clearly a discrepancy there when you have two drug agencies testing you, one saying you're good, one saying you're not, but you're being tested at the same time. It's completely different if, you know, you get tested by one agency a month prior to, then another one a month later. You see what I'm saying? It's different.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's still confusing to me because given the fact that I was going to say that Dillian, the fact is that I understand what you're coming from on that, but it still doesn't make sense given the fact that if you're going to use UCAT as the standard in a way, then why did Eddie Hearn say, well, Vada didn't catch him, so that means he's cleared? That's where the hypocrisy comes in. Yeah, this is what he said, though. Here's what I'm saying, though. This is what he said. And now all of a sudden, when Vada catches Conor BENN, he's saying, well, that doesn't matter now. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Hold on. You said Vada's the standard when it came to Dillian White, but now in this situation with Conor BENN, it's not the standard? How does that make sense?
No, it doesn't make sense at all. And I agree with you there. The only point that I was making was for Dillian White. Like, all I was saying was that, you know, he did both testing at the same time. And the reason why he got Vada tested was because he had to, because he was in the WBC rankings, which they make you do Vada testing. From my understanding, Conor BENN was supposed to do testing with Vada a long time ago. Like 4 months ago, and he said, no, I'm not going to do it. So that's, I think it was before the Chris Van Herden fight or some shit that he was supposed to do Vada testing, and he didn't do it. And didn't he get dropped from the WBC rankings because of it?
Conor got dropped momentarily. Then he decided he registered once. I think he got backlash for that, and he decided to say, to save face, say, you know what, let me register. Kind of like what Big Baby Miller did too. To save face, he registered. So it is what it is. I mean, Big Baby Miller. I'm talking about Big Baby Miller, not Anderson. But yeah, like I said though, man, I'm not trying to Dillian, but this is the same situation from my view, man. Same situation.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is because when the Dillian White situation went down, the one thing that they kept saying was he got tested at the same time by the other agency. Like simultaneously, he was tested and found to be clean.
Really? That happened? Hold on. So they tested each other at the same time? I thought I missed that. Is that what really at the same day?
Vada and UCAD were testing him all within the same week span. Not the same.
That's what they do. Yeah, that's what they do.
Hold on. Let me finish. No, they don't do that. They obviously don't because there's a big difference here. You've not heard Eddie Hearn once say that Conor BENN was tested within a couple of days with UCAD. So obviously there's a big time gap in between Vada and UCAD, unlike with Dillian White, because if it was the same situation, he would have said, no, wait a minute.
Listen, that whole thing, they weren't tested on the same day. That's not what happened. They were tested separately. They don't test you drug testing on the same day. What I'm saying to you. What happened is that one sanctioning body tested him and the other one found something. So what we're doing is that this guy in between it, he knows when they're coming to test you. So when they come to test you, he makes sure he's clean. And the other one caught him when he tried to do his bullshit. That's what happened. And when that happens, the fight shouldn't have happened. That's what we're talking about, really. Because at the end of the day, they found something. They should have investigated it, and the fight Reva's fight should have never got ahead. That's what we're talking about ultimately. That they found something, and they let the competition continue. And Eddie Hearn found something with Conor BENN, and he was trying to force the issue and trying to force it to happen. And that's what we really have a argument against. Why would fight would find something and you'd want an event to happen? That's out of order. And he was trying to get lawyers involved and trying to do this and that. That's why people are so upset. It's not really, you found something. It's the fact that you try to force the competition to happen. That's where we're at the minute. And Reva's thing and Dillian White, regardless of being they found something, right? We all admit that they found something. So why did that fight happen? So why did that happen? And that's what we're really upset about.
Again, I will restate because I don't think you were listening clearly to what I said. When Dillian White went to fight Rivas and the UCAD found him dirty, there was a very short window in between when UCAD tested him and Vada tested him. That's what Eddie Hearn kept saying, that He was tested before the UCAD caught him and right after the UCAD caught him, and everything that VADA did was clean. Then the UCAD also tested him after that, and everything he did for the UCAD after they supposedly caught him dirty was clean. The difference here is you don't hear Eddie Hearn saying that we'll do vice versa this time because it's vice versa. You don't hear him saying that, well, VADA tested him and he was clean, or excuse me, VADA tested him and he was dirty, and then within a day or two, the UCAD tested him, like what happened with Dillian White. Obviously, the situation's different. Obviously, allegedly, it must have been VADA tested him way before the UCAD did.
Should the fight happen? I understand that. Should the fight happen? So what I'm saying, going back to what you know, they tested him and found something before his fight. Should Dillian White and Rivas fight happen after they found something before the fight?
Yes, it should have. Why? Because he was found after the fact. He was proven. No. Why you making noises? The difference here is Dillian White was proven after the fact and not have anything in his system.
He's not been proven because you know why it's been proven? Because they see the B sample and they clear it. He's in the public domain. He's not been cleared. So no, it shouldn't have happened. Okay. No, the answer is no. No, he should no. No, and that's why the hold on, one minute. That's why the British board is going through this trauma right now in England, and this is why everyone is up in arms. This is why we're arguing right now, because Eddie Hearn has circumvented the system. So what we're trying to say is that this guy knows that his fight is popped dirty, and he's still wanting the event to happen. No, the answer should be no. You don't want no fighter going through, want a boxing event to happen. No, we know that this guy has something in his system. The answer should be no. I can't believe that you said you think the fight should have happened. No, man, it should happen. But that's your opinion, isn't it?
So clearly you were not listening to me. Yes, the fight should have happened for one reason. After the fact, we know now. It was published. It was put out. You can go look it up. The UCAD admitted the fault. Dillian White was cleared by the supposed agency that found him dirty.
Not in the public. No, he wasn't. Not in the public domain. No, he isn't. Because you know why? He's not clean. No, he's not. No, exactly. No, he's not. No, exactly. He's not. What happened is that the UCAD, and this is why you're misinformed, yeah? Everyone knows that this Dr. Savorian said that it's a fool, any boxer's a fool to be caught by UCAD. So that means, like I said to you, they know when they're testing them, right? They know when they're testing them. There's been money passed underneath the table, and there's corruption going on. That's why we're arguing about this. You're going about the official of what they said. Everyone knows that there's money being passed on the table to make sure that this thing go happen. That's what's been happening here. These guys are freaking corrupt.
Right. Can I chime in real quickly? Let me chime in real quickly.
I don't understand.
Yeah, Tony. I'll give you a chance to respond, but let me chime in real quickly. To your point, Dillian was clear from the UCAD case based off this is what they said. Quote: they said that the sample, the Dianabol, which is found in the system, which by the way, you cannot get orally, you have to inject that, which Dillian did admit. He did admit that he had it, but the fact is that they said the reason why he was clear because the levels were extremely low. So in other words, they're saying it's adverse finding. So that's why it's a technicality why he got off. And again, if they're going to cite as adverse findings as a technicality of getting a fighter off, then why did Eddie Hearn didn't do that with the Usick in this Spong situation, which is a hypocrite? So why didn't allow that fight to go ahead, but instead you allowed Dillian versus Rivas to go ahead for the same situation? So that's where the confusion comes in play. But to EJ's point, I really think that fight should have not gone ahead. That's just my opinion. That's EJ's opinion. Tony, you have your opinion.
No, but you see what the promoters, what they plan to do. This is what the promoters, right? This is what they kind of try to do. And this is what I'm trying to say to this guy here, right? Mm-hmm. They found something, so we know he took something, right? Yeah. So now they're trying to tell us he didn't take that much, so it's okay. No, you've took something. We found. I don't care how much traces. That event should never have gone. It should never happen.
Can I say something about that real quickly?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, because while the code says that no matter what, you shouldn't have any limits of spanned substance use systems. So don't UCAD follow the water code, Tony? Yo, Tony, you there?
Yeah, I'm pulling up this article.
Take your time, man.
To where the UCAD cleared him. There's a difference.
Yeah, they did clear him, but my question:
nor VADA have cleared Conor BENN of anything. They cleared Dillian White, which proved he didn't have anything in his system.
Well, he did. Well, Tony, the difference is he did have something in the system. He never denied it. Even UCAT said he had it in his system.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell him.
They said it. I'm looking at the statement right now. They're saying he had extreme low limits. They didn't say he didn't have anything.
But you see how they manipulate it, right? And try to say he didn't have that much. But they say, you know what I'm gonna tell you? You've got something in your system, therefore that sporting event should never have happened. And this is what I'm saying about Conor. They tried with the Kalasawa, he tried to say the same thing. And also Frank Warren tried to do the same thing. Oh, he didn't take that much of the system. But they found something. That none of these events should happen. Billy Joe Saunders and Boo and Trent. That's why that fight didn't happen. That's why that happened, because Billy Joe Saunders and then Frank came out, oh, it's not even that much, it's a nasal spray. Same thing.
What's most important by the UCAT right here.
What's
They
up?
said June 20th sample, June 20th are consistent with an isolated contamination event. Isolated contamination event. And they are not suggestive of doping from the UCAT. Let me read that most important part right here. Isolated contamination event. What does contamination mean? That means it was never in the system. The fucking shit they had was contaminated. That's why he did not sell the B sample.
Wait, hold on. So he submitted the B sample?
They had the A and B sample.
Wait. How did they know the A sample was contaminated? I don't get that.
Okay. Time out. Have you ever had to take a drug test for any sport?
My understanding
No,
is
I'm about to tell you. Have you ever had to take a drug test for any sporting event?
Absolutely.
Before?
Man, in high school when I competed, we had to be drug tested.
They don't do drug testing in high school?
Yes, they do.
What?
Well, here they do, bruh. When you're competing in the early days of high school, they do a preliminary drug test. But as far as going beyond that, no. I see what you're saying.
I had a full ride scholarship for football and track, and I never was drug tested once in high school.
I've been drug tested once, and
never in high school. In college, collegiate sport, it starts. Never in high school.
But that's if he's saying he has. If he's saying he has, then he has.
Hold on. I can defend myself, EJ. Hold up. I can defend myself. Hold up. In high school, what they did test for was, I think, weed at the time. Nothing else beyond that. So, yeah, I would say that.
Okay. The point is this.
Yeah.
There is no delayed B sample. When you get tested for anything sports related, PEDs, etc., you do the A and B sample at the same time on the same day. You pee in one cup and you pee in the other cup. They take both cups at the same time. They take the A sample and the B sample at the same time. They keep them separated. They test the A sample. If the A sample comes back negative, you can test it. Then you or your legal representatives can come there for when they open up the B sample where they have it, and they can test it in front of you or your legal representatives when they do the B testing. That's how A and B works. You don't get it would make no sense to do a B sample 3 months after you were caught. You take the A and B at the same time, and they're separated. That's what I'm talking about. Like they have your A and B sample from the jump.
Yeah, well, let me ask you this though: if that's the case, then why did Alexander Povetkin have to submit a B sample for his 2 failed drug tests?
You don't submit a B sample.
Yeah,
you request to have the B sample reviewed. They already have the A and B. It is on you. If they find an adverse finding in your A sample, you can say, I don't believe it. I want to do the B sample, and you go down with that route. Or if you know you did it wrong, they just stick with the A sample, and then you just whatever. You take responsibility. Like, they called me. No need to test the B sample because I know it's going to come up high.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Then it goes back to my original question. How did they know that sample was contaminated without testing the B sample? For Dillian White.
So the UCAD has possession of the A and the B. I don't know what they did. I don't know how they concluded. Like what you're saying is impossible for anybody to know who wasn't there in the laboratory.
What you said about their statement, they said they couldn't find anything in his system, but yet they never tested the B sample. So that's what I'm confused at. I'm confused.
They said it was an isolated contamination. How they came to the conclusion that they contaminated the sample, I have no idea. We're not in the lab. I'm just reading what they said.
hear you, bro. But again, it's confusing, and the fact that Dillian didn't even deny taking the damn Dia ball. He didn't deny that. Neither did Eddie Hearn.
Exactly. In any case, in any case, right? The thing should happen, and that's what people in the UK are upset about. They're upset about that fight happened, and yeah, they still wanted to know that what the B sample, like he pointed out, they have to request for the B sample. Yeah, we know that. And when they piss in one cup, all they do is when they piss in one cup, they split it into another cup. So what happens is when they're caught with one, then it's going to be the same in the other because they're basically the same thing. So if he's been found with something in his system, that means that obviously the B is going to be the same, right? So, but like he said in the request, so we know that he had something. Now the problem is, should that event happen? And my thing is no. You're saying yeah, and that's where we're at. In the UK, a lot of people are upset about this. That the fact that Eddie Hearn was trying to circumvent the British board, and the British board did the right thing by prohibiting the bout, and that's where we're at the minute. You know, what's the point of doing the testing if you're trying to circumvent and let the event still go ahead? I mean, that's what it comes down to. Then whether they caught something, whether it's high or low, that's what an event should never happen, and that's where we're at in the UK. Go ahead.
Yeah,
who's that Big Boys Boxing? Who's that Big Boys Boxing?
Yeah, that's a big boy.
Hey fellas, hope you're doing well.
How you doing, mate? You alright?
What's going on?
Good as. Just listening to you guys. You're arguing a bit about the A and B samples. Yeah, you're correct. They are from the same sample split, and the reason for it is for lab contamination only. So it is what it is. But I agree, the Dillian White fight shouldn't have happened. Neither should have the Oscar Valdez fight. There's heaps of them. Yeah, shouldn't have happened. It doesn't matter who tests for it. If something gets picked up, then the fight shouldn't happen until it's sorted out.
That's right. There you go. That's it. It's common sense. That's where we're at in a minute. You know, and common sense has happened. And Eddie Hearn tried to bully the British Board of Control, which everyone feels sick about. And you know, and people lost faith in the British board. There's no been penalties for the promoters. There's no been suspension for Conor BENN, right? And everyone seemed like they're getting off this scot-free. There's no, you know, what's the point? I mean, that's where everyone's at the minute. They got no faith in the British board. And why did the British board, when they found out, why didn't they prohibit the bout then? You see, there's a lot of undercover stuff that Eddie Hearn was trying to do, and people are upset about it. Criminal, absolutely criminal. You know, some of the things in boxing. He's not the only one though. In boxing, I pointed to Dan the man about Kelbrook and Triple G. Really and truly, okay, you do have welterweights versus middleweights, right? But look at the result of it. Okay, this is boxing. Anyone gets hurt. Understand me, but the knowing that they have something in their system, and you want the event to happen, and you try to do weight, and you're weight draining one of the participants to come down the weight, and rehydration clause, and on top of that, the other guys got drugged to the system, and you still want the event to go on. I mean, mate, this is something that was hard to come back from. I'm telling you. Go ahead.
Can understand from a business point of view. From his point, though, I know it's wrong, and he knows it's morally wrong as well, but they would have spent a lot of money on this promotion, and it was going to be a huge money fight. So I'm not saying it's right, but I can understand why he was trying to press ahead with it, because they've lost money already. And
but you don't I agree with you, but you see, the thing is, right, we agree about the money and all that stuff, but when do the humans part of it care about the athletes participating in this, that they can give damage? Because there's many occasions that all of the boxers after their career, you know, where they are, they're in, you know, homes and that, and no one cares about that. So what we do now, it shows how we are as humans, like, you know, even me to a certain extent. If the fight would have gone ahead, would I have watched it? Hell yeah, I'd have watched it. So I'm a hypocrite in that regard. But at the same time, I don't like the idea of the way Eddie Hearn tried to strong arm the British Board of Control, and the British Board of Control haven't acted appropriately and put the fines, because they look at certain people like you know, been caught with drug testing, they go right after them, you know, Nevada and all this. But now you're being hypocritical in the penalties of how you're doing, because Conor BENN's a favorite of Eddie Hearn, he's getting away with it, you know. And we put out Dillian White in that situation of Rivas, and all the Eddie Hearn's indiscretions as being a promoter. And you're right about the money, but what do we care about? Do we care about the sport in this promoter who's rich, by the way, and both of them are rich, have money, you know, there's nothing to them? Or do we care about the athletes, the participants, that they're going to be psychologically damaged from the event because of this situation? Look at the dad. The dad, they try to say the dad's mad, and the dad knew it, and the dad was saying, this fight should not happen. And everyone was like, what's he talking about? But now everyone realized as a parent, and he's been through a fight where he damaged another fighter in it, that they wanted this thing to go ahead. I mean, I just don't know what to say. It's sad. All around, it's actually disgraceful. It's actually a disgrace. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So I will say this.
Shout out to Marlon in the chat. He says, imagine if they hit that test and when the fight went ahead and Eubank got killed. Junior, people would have gone to jail for that. Or if he got seriously hurt, like Billy Collins many years ago with Louis Resto and, Panama Lewis. We all know what happened in that situation. But, I mean, that would have been, that'd have been tragic.
Well, they would have, boxing would have been, but they would have made, the government would have got involved. And you're talking about banning professional boxing in the UK. That's where we're talking about at the minute. That's the limits of where we're going with this in the UK. It's like we're questioning, well, what else is going on? And if they don't get no feasible answers in the UK, you're looking at a ban. I'm dead serious about it. It's really serious stuff that we're talking about here. I mean, obviously, you guys in the States, it's nothing to you guys in it. But remember, our country's much smaller, and we have one board that governs the whole of the UK. Only one board. You know what I mean? So it's really, England, Ireland, and Wales, they're looking on this like, what the frig's going on here? Is anyone coming to their senses? Is there going to be suspensions? Is there going to be bans? I mean, what's going on? This guy's took something. Why did you want this event to go on? And furthermore, why has he not got a suspension? And why would these promoters want to push this event? I mean, who? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, look. At the end of the day, it's a bad look, man. One of your fighters got popped. And especially look, you got away with the White situation in Rivas situation. You can't take a chance with this one, trying to cite out legality here for it to continue. You can't do that. It's just bad. Go ahead, Tony. You want to say something?
So I'm going to say, like I said to begin with, hindsight is 50-50. So knowing what we know now, then yes, I will say that the Oscar Rivas Dillian White fight should have went ahead because Dillian White was found to be clean. However, at the time, I do agree. I agree with everything you said. It should have been sorted out. Rivas should have been notified, and the fight should have been delayed. I agree 1,000% with that. But knowing what we know now, that White was clean, then no, it should not have been stopped because he was never guilty. That's a different situation than somebody like Valdez, who was found guilty and was still allowed to fight. Different situation. That's all I was saying with that.
Okay.
Yeah, fair enough. As far as this fight goes, I agree 1,000%. It should have been stopped for three reasons.
Let me ask you this, Tony, from a moral standpoint. If that was the case, then why didn't Eddie Hearn or Dillian White notify Team Rivas about it? If he was innocent, why did he hid it from him?
Because at the end of the day, like I said, Eddie Hearn does not care about the other fighters. He only cares about making money off of his fighters. If it's, it's there's nothing really moral about it. It's business, it's big money. Like morals, when you talk about millions and millions and millions of dollars, we could say, making what we make, that we would do the right thing. But at the end of the day, none of us know what we're going to do if we're, hey, slide this under the rug for $20 million. We don't know what we're going to say. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, from a moral standpoint, yes, they should, like I already said, they should have been notified and then given the option to continue or postpone or whatnot. You know what I mean? Like, that should have all came to light. And personally, I think it should have been postponed till Dillian was cleared or not cleared and suspended. But this fight, I do agree. But this is what I wanted to bring up. And let me say this. I'm going to get to them 3 points I was going to say too. I agree. It should have been stopped. Here's the problem that I have. So I took a screenshot of this, right? Fight Hype TV put this post out. I don't even remember the day because it's not last Saturday. So Saturday when the fight was supposed to happen at 8:52 p.m. is whenever I took the picture. So it has 3.6 thousand votes. So 3,600 votes, 3,600, however you want to word it, right?
Right.
62% of boxing fans said the fight still should have happened. I put hell nah, but I was in a 38% bracket versus the 62% that did not care. They didn't care. So I agree. It should have been stopped. And the three things that I was looking at was this. One, you got a guy going lower than he's ever gone before. So he's already going to be somewhat weight drained. Two, you've got a audacious rehydration clause that's I've never even heard of, where you can only weigh 5 pounds more at the morning weigh-in, then you're only allowed to gain another 5 pounds after that by the nighttime weigh-in. Never heard of that before, but that's what they were going to do. So you got those two. Then you got a guy who's on PEDs, potentially, allegedly. Nah, that's just a 3 strikes you're out. That's a bad mixture all the way around. So I don't think it should have happened. But the majority of people, they don't care. They don't care about the fighter's health. They just want to see entertainment.
Yeah, exactly. But this is why when we're talking about the British board, and that's what I'm talking about, the board that they found out, they have the right to notify, like you said, Revis at the same time, and let Revis do it, and that's what never happened. That's what I'm talking about. So what I'm saying to is the British board, the board that looks out for the fighters' interest, when they pay money, is not doing their job.
But
In fact,
didn't do their job this time.
No, exactly. That's what I'm talking. That's what in England people are just they're confused because usually now I said to Dan, who's actually controlling the board? Who's actually pulling the strings now? Is it Eddie Hearn or Frank One? Because they've both got dibs in it. They both got stakes in the British board, and they both control them. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about a national body who controls boxing is not doing their job appropriately. In fact, they were going to circumvent it and get another board, the Luxembourg. They were thinking to get another board to actually sanction the fight in the same jurisdiction over potential drug cheat. I mean, this I'm telling you, bro, this stuff is wild, bro. It's some wild shit. Eddie Hearn's reputation in the public eye is real torn up. But you know, like you pointed out, ain't no one kid when we see a good fight, we gonna forget about that shit. That's how it goes on. But that's what fans do. You know, we gonna watch it regardless. We watch car crash TV. We watch people fighting in the street. We're voyeurism. We like watching people in entertainment and people in advantageous circumstances. You know what I mean? So that's what it is. But the board is supposed to do their job, and that's where we are right now. The British Board of Control have not done their job, and they didn't act appropriately. They only acted when the Daily Mail came out with a news article, and then they said this bout has been prohibited. But why didn't they do it in late September, in early September? You know what I mean? And that's where we are at the minute. So, you know, it's sickening. It's not really the promoters and the fighters' job. It's the board, the one they pay money to. They haven't done their job properly. Yeah. And also that doctor, and Tyson Fury's doctor, the drug cheat who's saying that any boxer get caught taking drugs is a fool. So basically he knows, and this is what I was trying to say to you, my friend, is that they know when the testing's happening to know how to beat it. They know how to beat the system.
You don't have to beat it. I mean, anybody, I agree with what the doctor said. Anybody who gets caught is an idiot, because first and foremost, they don't get tested year round. They only get tested when they go into their camps. They only get tested when they sign for a fight. So you could potentially cycle for the whole fucking year and just come off right before your fight and they will never catch it. So first off and foremost, the doctor is correct. You're an idiot if you get caught, because there's no way for you to get caught because there's just not enough testing to catch them. What I do want to say is this, and I'm actually going to do a live on this tomorrow morning, which, Dan, I was wanting you to see the thumbnail I have, because
so I caught your statement on that, man. I'm gonna check it out.
I just want you to see the thumbnail and tell me what you think. But
all right, cool.
Here's what I look at, and here's my biggest issue, and I'm gonna expand upon this tomorrow morning. My issue is this: for me, it should be one of two things. I don't like the fact that Conor BENN is facing a 4-year ban so the UCAD can save face, but then you have people like Canelo who get a 6-month suspension. However, he just fought, and he at the time waited 6 months before his next fights. So really, he never had a suspension. Then they upped the clenbuterol levels for him to accommodate him. Valdez gets caught and gets to go into the fight anyways. But yet Conor BENN gets caught and gets a 4-year ban. I don't like that. It should be one of two things. One, and I say 1A, 1B. 1A, ban them from the sport. When they get caught, make it so severe nobody will want to do it. Just ban them from the sport, first offense. Don't give them a second chance. Don't give them 6 months. Don't give them a year. Don't give them 2, 3, 4 years. Ban them from the sport. And after you ban enough people at the top, people will stop doing it because they'll be like, oh, fuck, it's going to ruin my career. 1B, give them all the same punishment. How are you going to give some guy no ban, some guy a 6-month suspension than another guy who do something lesser than 4 years. Doesn't make sense. Or if they're not going to be treated equally, option B, don't fucking test them at all. And then everybody's free to do whatever they want to do. And nobody has an advantage.
The Conor Ben ain't there nothing happening to him. He with Eddie Hearn. Ain't nothing gonna happen to him.
But
They could
what I'm
suggest
saying.
it. Yeah, they talk about what could happen if he gets suspended or thingy, but that's not gonna happen, obviously. Because no, it's not. Nothing's happened to Conor Ben. Nothing. He rolls with Eddie Hearn. This is what I'm saying. He rolls with Eddie Hearn. And what you putting out with Canelo, he rolls with the top dogs, man. That's what I'm saying to say. They roll with all the top promoters. And the WBC backs him. So no, nothing's gonna happen to Canelo. And you're right, it's unfair. It's unfair, but that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about the rich people getting away with shit, and the lower level fighters, they're getting dealt with. And that's so you got to go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like Jarrell Miller, to me,
he rolls with Salido.
My whole point was this, and you could tell me if you agree or disagree. To me, if I was fighting somebody like Canelo, I would want no drug testing, because to me, what it seems like is the drug testing is used for the cash cow to be able to cheat. So he does it, gets away with it. I do it. I get a 4-year ban. Like, no, like, why the fuck would I even? Because I know that dude could be doing it, and he knows he can do it, because if he gets caught, there's no real penalty. But if I do it as a nobody, I get banned from the sport. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's right. But you see the money again. It goes back to the money that you're fighting for. Canelo is a life-changing money for you, so that's why they do it. So like Salido, you pointed out with Salido, Big Baby Miller. Well, he's not Eddie Hearn, is he? So Eddie Hearn, not rightly so. Oh, he should be banned for the sport. I can't believe this. I can't believe that. But where's the same energy for Conor Ben, bro? And Big Baby Miller's come out and said, yo, and even O'Hara Davis, who Eddie Hearn threw underneath the bus over some silliness. Eddie Hearn has different rules for one fighter and a different rule for another. Someone he protects, like AJ. I'm not saying AJ took anything, but and Conor Ben, and other rules for other guys, it doesn't. And that's basically, we're talking unfair, but that just shows you how life is and who, the people pull the strings. If they like you, they're going to protect you. I tell you right now, if Conor Ben was going to get suspended or anything, they would have did that already. Ain't nothing happening to Conor Ben, because they knew from early September. So if they were going to suspend him or anything, that they could have asked for a question for the B sample. They could have done memory of things. But what they try to do is try to let the fight happen. That's what they try to do. That's what we do know. And Eddie Hearn was trying. He's advocated that, and he walked that on the whole of the media on the press conference. Didn't give no interviews. Came back and said they're all vultures. So over in the UK right now, it's not a good look, bro. It's not a good look. And the rest of the world must be looking over here. We're full of dirty cheats, dirty drug cheats. And even me. That's where we are. We full of dirty drug cheats. So you're only saying Canelo and getting away, but I'm saying, yo, the whole of the UK, we don't trust none of these bitch asses out here, and all of them are cheating. And if you roll with Eddie Hearn, the most likely you're on some shit, and they're gonna let this event go along. And that's where we're at in a minute. This shit is disgusting. It's disgusting.
Right.
Well, let me go ahead and shift the conversation a little bit, gentlemen, because we're gonna wrap this up. But real quickly, as far as the heavyweights is concerned, Frank Warren came out today and said that more than likely Tyson Fury and Derek Chisora is going to be set to go for a third fight. It won't be at the Cardiff that they were planning it to be, but somewhere at another stadium I heard about that I never heard of. But what are you guys' thoughts about that fight?
Hell to the no. I hear it's going to be in London if it's going to hit, apparently. But geez, nobody wants to see that, and I can't see how it can be justified. Tyson Fury being in such a hurry to get that contract signed, and then turn around and fight someone who's not even inside the top 10, and letting that AJ fight slip by. If he had just waited another week instead of being an uppity jumpity idiot, he could have had a good payday, but. We're going to see Derek Chisora 3. I might not even watch it, to be honest. I know Derek's fun to watch, and he always comes to scrap, but we've already seen it twice, and last time he gave up on a stool, got beaten down, and Tyson's improved since then, so I can't see it getting any better for Derek.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be probably the same fight. Derek is pretty much shot right now. He's down. He's on his last leg, and Tyson Fury's going to beat him down. I mean, that's the way the fight's going to be. But at the end of the day, I know EJ and I talked about this. I mean, Tyson Fury did promise him a shot at the title if he were to become champion many years ago. So he's fulfilling that promise. He's giving him a shot. Not saying it's the right thing to do, but at the same time, you did promise a man a title shot, and you're giving it to him. So. But at the same time, doesn't mean fans are gonna have to like it.
I don't like the fight at all, but I blame it 1,000% on AJ. 1,000% his fault. And I disagree with what you said, dude. Tyson Fury, Frank Warren, George Warren, Bob Arum could have gave Eddie Hearn and AJ a year, and they still wouldn't have signed the fucking contract. It makes no sense what you say. They wanted to fight on December 3rd. We're finding out now that AJ is going to fight 2 weeks later on December 17th. So it's as clear as day that AJ did not want that fight. Eddie Hearn did not want that fight. And I don't care. Nobody's going to change my opinion, my mind. They know, Eddie knows, AJ's going to get knocked out. And then the cash cow is dead and his paydays are over. Like, Tyson Fury will inherit everything AJ has. And that's why the fight really didn't happen. Like, Eddie Hearn has been on record saying big fights don't take long. He could get them done in 48 hours. Well, he had 3 weeks, 21 days. I believe that's a lot more than 48 hours to get this fight done. And it still didn't happen, only for them to fight 2 weeks later. Nah, I don't buy it. They didn't want it because they know the writing's on the wall for AJ. It is. And it's going to be hilarious. And I'd hate to see it because I like AJ, but it's going to be hilarious if Areola hits that chin and he crumbles.
Oh, yeah. We're going to talk about that one in a second. But to your point, Tony, I do agree. I think at the end of the day, it was Hearn who was stalling. He deliberately stalled that fight because he was waiting to run that clock out because he knew that Queensberry was going to rescind the contract because they weren't going to wait too long. Because if you look at it, they sorted out all the particulars that Aaron had complained about with the contract. First, he complained, but before he complained, he said everything was good to go. We're ready to sign. Then he comes back and says, well, we don't like to format the contract. So they reformat the contract to his liking. Then he comes back and says it's all over the place. We got to sort out the TV situation, your broadcasting situation with the zone in BT. They got that sorted out within a matter of days, or a couple of days, I should say. And then he comes back and says, well, we need more time because we need to sort out the commercials. And then that's when the fight got killed. He said, I'm pulling the plug on the fight. That's pretty much what he said.
Yeah, but then I have this question for you.
Yeah.
It takes supposedly X amount of time to make big fights, right? How long did it take them to make this Areola fight?
That's a good point.
Areola's life-changing money, bro. Like, he gonna set order. He gonna set everything, bro. That ain't gonna take that about 2 minutes. But you're right. Eddie Hearn never wanted to fight, but he never believed that they wanted to fight him. He thought they were going to fight Manuel Charr or someone like Derek Shaw anyway. Now Frank Warren's came out and said, they've been calling, his son's been calling him and they haven't been picking up the phone. Obviously Derek, why? But we thinking, but you look at it, right? Why is Derek on Joe Joyce's fight with Parker, which was a great fight, by the way, right, for Joe Joyce? Derek Chisora and Tyson Fury and Kugan Cassidy, all of a sudden, they're there right at the finish of that fight and trying to promote their fight. So they already decided that they were going to have that fight. So Eddie Hearn may have made a point that they already had someone else in mind. They was just trying to use the attention of calling AJ's name in to try and boost the attention to bring their fight, which has probably happened. But in any case, AJ, it wasn't a good look to AJ to fight. But AJ looked like he might lose against Areola or anyone else. So you're right. It would have been it took over the money and that's their cash cow. Eddie Hearn's in a horrible state at the minute. It's the worst year ever he's ever had for years. Terrible.
Could I flip this on you and say this? Why would Tyson Fury and his team not have a backup plan in case AJ didn't sign if they were truly trying to fight in December 3rd? Like, wouldn't it make sense for you to have other possibilities, other fighters lined up in case AJ pulled out?
Well, we're listening to this, right? No, good point, right? But let's look at this, right? Eddie Hearn and AJ, they were furious that Tyson Fury is pulling out with the situation with the arbitration thing and being strung along, right? They got strung along. For us, Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua knew the fight was going to happen. And obviously the arbitration happened and he had to fight Dillian White. So what I looked at is like Frank Warren and Tyson Fury, they were taunting Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua for what they did against that. So they knew that fight wasn't going to happen, but they're going to go through the motions. So Eddie, Tyson comes out, if you want to fight, I'll give you 40, 60% split. Let's get the fight on. And then Frank said, okay, let's play that game. So Eddie said, let's play that game. So they're playing games with us as the fans. Then these fights are never going to happen. You know what I mean? Why would you put your fighter who just lost and most people pay a lot of money to see and put him against Tyson Fury? Like, he ain't going to win that fight. So that fight was never going to happen. So they're playing games with the media, and that's what happened. That's what I felt was happened. So they both had plans to fight different people. They never was going to fight each other, and that's what we've seen out here. They're actually trying to con the public. So, it's this what it is, and no one's getting what they want right now. No one wants to see Ariola. No one wants to see Derek Chisora. But no, but did you really want to see AJ versus Fury? AJ would have got bunched up by Guy Fury. Like, anyone give AJ a chance? I wouldn't. I like AJ, but I wouldn't give him a chance. But why would you fight a fight against Fury and you just lost 2 fights? You just lost your last 2 fights. Like, why would you do that?
Can I piggyback off of you real fast, and then I'm gonna hop off? I do agree that the arbitration was a publicity stunt. I don't think Tyson Fury ever wanted to fight AJ. I think he was always scared that he would lose to AJ. However, I believe all that changed when he saw a 6'3", 220-pound Usyk completely outclass AJ. I think all those fears went out the window, and now he's like a rabid animal just wanting to tear into AJ. He knows.
Yeah, that's a good point. Of course, that would give him confidence. But but if you're Eddie Hearn's side, you're like, hell no. But we're gonna play along the game, and I agree with you on that point. Yeah, I agree with that. That's exactly probably what happened. But Fury doesn't want to fight Usyk. He don't want to see Usyk across the road. I mean, he don't want no parts of Usyk. So I think he's trying to get easy paydays. Derek Chisora is gonna be easy payday before he has to fight Usyk, because you're trying to say you're the best in the era. You're the linear champion, all that shit. Okay, then. So why are you fighting Derek Chisora then? Why? You know what I'm saying? You say you're the best in the world, right? AJ doesn't have to prove anything. He hasn't got no belts. Fight anyone. No one cares. But
I'll say this though. Let me say this though. If they don't do well at the gate, if the ticket sales are bad, leading up,
it will do well. Now I tell you, it will do well. I can tell you. I can tell you right now, it will do well. Right now, because Derek's a character. We pointed out this before. It's like Ariola. They put people who don't necessarily going to win the fight, but they bring a lot of character to the media press conference. They're characters. So yeah.
Well, yeah, you're probably right about that, but yeah, they'll probably. I mean, it is heavyweight division. People are going to turn up anyway. So yeah. Hey, big boys, what do you think about that? Hey, shout out to Tony, man. No problem, man. Hey, I'm gonna check your channel out about that image that you put up, bro. So I'm gonna check that out. Shout out for Tony Reviews for joining us. But hey, big boy, before I close this up, any thoughts about the Joshua and Ariola fight potentially happening?
Meh. I mean, it'd be much better if Derek Chisora was fighting Chris Ariola, wouldn't it? That's a nice fight.
Good point. That'd be a better fight.
Much better fight, but maybe there was a bit of piggybacking for both guys on each names. Yeah. Realistically, AJ coming off a couple of losses. The best plan for him would be to take a couple of confidence-building fights. Excuse my son. Oi!
It's all good.
I'm disappointed it's not happening, obviously. The Ariola v. Joshua fight, I think Ariola will give him some rounds at least. Might even go the distance. The way AJ's been boxing lately, a lot more defensive, seems to be a lot more worried about getting hit. And of course, there's a chance Ariola could land something like he did against Ruiz and put AJ on his ass. And we know what happens when AJ gets put on his ass. If someone steps on the gas straight away after that, we could have a hell of an upset on our hands. So
yeah,
I'll watch it. I won't be paying for it though. It's not a good enough fight to shell out of my pocket. Thank you very much.
I hear you, but look, at the end of the day, I don't blame Joshua for taking the fight. He does need to get his confidence going again, and it's a right move. The zone is putting a lot of money and investing a lot of money into him, so he really needs some confidence building fights. You know what I mean, to get him back on track. Take him away from world level right now. As of now, just milk it. Rebuild him, rebuild his fighter, basically. Go through the rehabilitation process, whatnot. But the one thing that he will get criticized for, that's Joshua and Hearn, by the way, is that Eddie Hearn came out and said that we will fight a top 15 or maybe a top 20 opponent. We will fight that guy. But Chris Ariola was definitely not on the radar. Let's be honest. He was not on the radar. So they may get a little flack for that. But at the end of the day, I don't see there's no reason to give them too much flack for it, because at the end of the day, we all know Joshua needs to get away from world level fights for now.
Yeah, I mean, and let him rebuild from that standpoint. But to EJ's point, let alone if AJ's not, if he's slacking, if he doesn't have any confidence going in, don't count Curiel out, man. He could pull off the upset. He probably can.
Well, listen, let's go. Let's revise the comment you made about Andy Ruiz. He got knocked down twice. The first knockdown was legit, and the second line he shouldn't have been counted. They never counted it, and he was putting thing. And the only reason he didn't extend on that is because his shoulder hurt a bit. I mean, Ruiz hit him in the shoulder, but bro, that fight should have been a draw. At least a draw or thing he won. So in my opinion, coming off that that performance, he's good. But then how is his shoulder? Is his shoulder 100%? Well, Eddie Hearn don't care. Just put him in the ring and let Anthony Joshua beat him up. Because again, you're looking at the body. Look at this fat guy. Yeah. Oh, this guy's got a big mouth, right? And you look at Anthony Joshua, who's body beautiful. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're trying to do the same thing again, but this time the right guy's gonna win it. They don't care. Areola, I don't know how his shoulder is, but he's supposed to get turned over. He ain't. You know what I'm saying? That's what's supposed to happen there. I mean, boxing with Eddie Hearn, he doesn't care how you turn up. You're supposed to lose, and you come in, you get paid and get paid to get turned over. And now we know what Eddie Hearn's about, innit? And by the way, this weekend is a stacked weekend of boxing. We have Clarissa Shields versus Savannah Marshall, Michaela Mayer versus Alicia Van Garden. Also, we have Devin Haney versus George Kambosos. We also have Deontay Wilder versus Robert Helenius, right? And then we have all the undercards things underneath them. So we have a stacked week of fights coming up this week. Which ones everyone going to be watching? I mean, I think the UK card will be on earlier. We have it's Australia, Devin Haney versus Kambosos.
Yeah,
I don't know. Big boys
talking about that fight.
yeah. Big boys would know what time that's going to come on. And we have Deontay Wilder versus Robert Helenius. So, which one are we watching and what's the results?
Me personally, I expect Clarissa to beat Savannah Marshall. Not saying it's going to be easy early on, but I'll be surprised if she dominates Savannah like she dominated Christina Hammer early, from start to the finish. I'll be surprised to see that. Maybe I wouldn't be too surprised if that happens, but we'll see. But as far as Michaela Mayer versus Alicia Baumgartner, probably going to favor Baumgartner slightly on that one. I think that's going to be a tougher fight than the Shields and Marshall fight, in my opinion. That's the way I see it. As far as Kambosos and Haney rematch, I don't think it's going to go any different. I mean, maybe George, the reason why he hasn't talked so much because he's actually really training and is trying to make the adjustment. So we'll see how that plays out, whatnot. So maybe he'll surprise us in that fight. And Devin Haney might be caught off guard. So that probably be interesting to see. But as far as Wilder Helenius, I mean, that's probably going to be the most telling fight on Saturday. We'll see. Thing is, we want to see how Deontay Wilder is mentally. Well, I guess mentally he's there, but as far as physically, where is he at? You know what I mean? So that'll be telling to see where he is physically, whatnot. And I saw Tony in comments in the chat. He's saying that Wilder's fighting better competition to AJ now. Who would have thought of that? I'm like, well, yeah, with the Ariel announcement, yeah, I guess, because people criticized this fight to begin with, but as soon as the rumor about AJ and Ariel is coming about, nobody has nothing to say about it. The detractors, I should say. So it is what it is, man. What's your thoughts, big boy?
Yeah, man, good weekend. I'll be watching all of the cards. So the UK one will be on Sunday morning here for me, and then Sunday afternoon will be the Wilder Helenius card, and then later on the evening will be Kambosos v Haney. And my favorite heavyweight at the moment is on that Kambosos v Haney card. Hio from New Zealand. He's fighting a guy called Fainga Apilu. So I'll be into that one big time. That'll be my funnest fight for the weekend, I think.
Right.
But
yeah, is he the heavyweight that's supposed to be rumored to be fighting Mars Breedis? That heavyweight? What's his name?
No, that's Justice Hooney.
Oh, that's Justice Hooney. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, Hemia Hio's 19-0. He was the guy who won the inaugural Middle Eastern heavyweight championship with the WBC, but he's only a 6-foot heavyweight. Kind of Alan Babbage sort of style, but faster. Yeah, and also there was one other one that I just stumbled across. Eddie Chambers is fighting on Friday.
Oh, word?
He's fighting a guy called Tyler Canning.
Oh, okay.
Who's he fighting? Who's he fighting? Who's Eddie Chambers fighting?
A guy called Tyler Canning. He's
What card is that? What card is that?
it's on its own card. I've just got it here. Give me a sec.
But Mr. Bashir's probably there, isn't it? He's probably there at that one.
Oh, he's training Eddie Chambers?
Yeah, he trained Eddie Chambers. He started training.
Mm. It's in the States. What do we got here?
Fast Eddie Chambers. Okay, I thought he was done for good after the Gerald.
What is it? When is that fight? Is this Saturday, right?
Friday in the States.
Oh, it's Friday, right? Okay.
Oh no, sorry, it is Saturday. Saturday in the
Saturday.
States. Yeah.
Okay.
All
yeah,
right.
well, you know.
Is any broadcaster anybody broadcasting that fight, or that's just a low level fight?
It's a low level fight.
Yeah, local level, isn't it? Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'll be like, who would broadcast that fight?
Well, hey, listen, fighters make a comeback, and all of a sudden they get called on TV. That's how they make comeback away from TV, and
that's
then,
true.
but they use to usually boost their the opposition. You not necessarily boost themselves. You know, he's probably been there to lose. He's there and there to lose. They ain't gonna try. A promoter will bring him in low level to boost their guy up. So you know that's where boxing's at the minute. But you know these fights coming up this weekend, it's good. You know, there's some good fights coming up. You know, and you know it's a good week of boxing. After what's happened with this bullshit, you know, with the British border control, we need some really good, decent fights. And maybe the women, it's ladies' night in the UK, and maybe they can uphold British boxing and bring it back to decent and morality of what's happened in the last couple of weeks. It's rough. It's been a rough week, Dan. I'm telling you, not for me personally, but just for the morality of boxing and in terms of drug testing. I mean, Mayweather came out and he was adamant about Manny Pacquiao. If you want to fight me, then take the test. And everyone's like, who's he telling? Remember, the voice is out. Why is they telling him to dictate about drug tasting? We do what we want to do. But why wouldn't you take the test? Now you look at it, go, yeah, you should take the test. You should prove that you're clean. And I'm clean. Why aren't you clean? Because Mayweather had reservations. He also had reservations with Paul Williams, and he had reservations with Antonio Margarito. That's why them fights never happened, you know? And because, you know, he Mayweather, you know, all the decisions he made, he was the first one advocating Olympic-style drug testing in the sport. Everyone was like, why? And then, you know, a lot of fights got cancelled. But now, maybe they should do because, you know, I think another one was Amir Khan and Kell Brook.
Lamont Peterson.
Lamont Peterson, yeah. That fight right there, I was happy to see that fight. I was upset. But now I look at it, it's like, well, boy. And Lamont Peterson after that kind of faded away. So we don't know he didn't take it in the first fight. You know what I mean? Like, because he had energy, you know. If you look at that
funny though, because he actually had some issues with testosterone, so that's probably why.
That's what he said. That's what they tell us. But if you look at the fight, he never got tired, bruh. He never got tired. I never see him. He never got tired. And ever since that time, and what did he do after the win against Amir Khan? Nothing. If you wasn't taking anything, nothing. He didn't do anything, did he? I mean, he wasn't blackballed or anything. So, but he never went on to win a world title, you know, after he didn't build on that. So, you know, these things is very serious. Mayweather brought him out, and, you know, someone like that, because people didn't like him. But the fact of the matter is I don't care if you like me or not. This bitch ass is going to be drug tested, and you're going to go through this shit. And Mayweather made all of the fighters who fought him, Canelo included, all drug tested. And if they didn't show anything, then Mayweather would say, yo, cool. You know, we can fight now. But if you didn't take his test, we weren't getting it on. And because of that, the rest of the sport became cleaner. You know what I mean? Because before, it must have been the Wild Wild West before Mayweather even pointed it out. You know, before 2000. How many fighters in the 90s and all them were doing it? Mike Tyson admitted he had the wizard, a fake dick. Where, I mean, you guys think it's funny, but, bro, this guy's going in. I don't know it was for the weed or whatever bullshit maybe he had in his system. And he's knocking out guys, man. I mean, that shit's fucked up.
Yeah, it is. It's a fucked up world, man. Boxing is very immoral, man, when it comes to that. So, you know,
but you think it's, but you know, when you're laughing though, it's like it was all fun and games, but now it's not so funny. It's actually come back to bite our sport in the ass, and now our sport in the UK, especially in terms of, they say the UK has the best fans, which I don't know. I think boxing generally has great fans in Australia and America, especially, you know, where like all the great fights happen, you know, over the last like 40 years, whatever. It's a shame that, you know, these promoters should know better would actually go ahead and try to force a fight to happen when knowingly that one of their athletes is been tested positively for something, you know.
Right.
And for Conor Benn himself, you know, remember he was the darling. Everyone liked him in boxing, bro. He's Instagram and social media. The man can't go nowhere, bro.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. We'll see how that situation sort out. But hey, guys, I'm gonna have to wrap this up. And I went over an hour, as I said shouldn't do, but it is what it is. These things happen because we have a good chat, good banter. But I want to give a shout out to the panel, EJ Boxing Live and Big Boys Boxing and Tony Reviews, who dipped out not too long ago. So I want to thank you guys for coming in, chopping up with me. Great conversation. We'll definitely do it again. All right, fellas.
Nice one, Dan. Take care, bro. Peace.
You
Peace,
too, brother.
big boy.
Take care. Take care,
Peace,
big
fellas.
boys.
Take it easy.
You too, man. Peace. All right, guys. For the chat, I want to thank Unfiltered Adults. Shout out to him, YG Knight, Mala, over at the New Zealand. So, Big Boys Boxing, please check out his channel. Please subscribe. He makes some good content there. Same thing with EJ Boxing Live, and same thing with Tony Reviews. Please check out their channels. Please don't forget to subscribe, like the videos, thumbs it up. Other than out, I can definitely vouch for these fellas, man. They know their stuff. But other than that, I am out. We're done. Peace.